And basically, you know what? Fuck you for bringing this up right here and right now. Why are you doing this to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah, fuck you. Heartfelt.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to NIGHTCAP for December 30th, 2021. I don't know, it might be the last show. Might be the last show. Might be the last show of the year. Might be the last show ever. If poor Mr. Goldman has his way. How's it going, everybody? I'm Sean. Welcome. What's up, Hagbird? I saw Prophet and old Maverick Buckley were chilling earlier. Get those early comments in. Prophet says, sometimes I wonder about Mark from Tinder. Where's he going? Where's he been? I wonder if he's okay right now. If he's safe, banging some Alpha Chad's 15-year younger girlfriend. Hey, it's Matt. Must stay awake. Hagbird in the house. Poor Mr. Goldman. So we're going to go check out some of this Jack Murphy stuff that's been happening. You know, I actually did not originally intend to ever really revisit this topic. To be honest with you, I kind of felt bad to a certain degree. I think to a normal degree. I am not a heartless bastard. Not entirely, anyways. But, you know, a dude did some fucked up things in his past, or he had a change of heart or whatever. But the more and more stuff that came out, the more that's been kind of brought forth about him and his life, what you kind of just see is like the classic grift shift. He's always been, one of these male guru guys that he was doing kind of on the DL for a while on his own blog and stuff like that. And he just kind of shifted his rhetoric. And this is something that happened during the Trump election, a lot of these guys, a lot of these people just kind of shifted their rhetoric to be kind of MAGA, to be conservative. They conflated like the alpha macho stuff with MAGA, and they try to sell you books and programs and all this kind of stuff. You know, Jack Murphy himself is part of something called the Liminal Order, something that he started, which is supposed to be kind of like a Chad support group, if you will. I guess that's what we could call it. But essentially what it is, it's something you pay $100 a month for to be in like a chat room. From what I understand, here it is, Liminal Order. This is the page. It's an exclusive membership. You see, everything that they do is just couched in this fucking salesman stuff, this con artist shit. Because this whole is, we got limited number of people that can join on a monthly basis. Well, that's just to kind of introduce the concept of scarcity. This is exclusive. This is cool. This is very fucking cool, guys. You only release 50 spots on the first Monday of every month. You better get your email. You better get on that fucking list. And who knows what else they sell you. And as far as I understand, the Liminal Order is full of other self-help guru grifters that will sell people like other programs. Like there's this guy, it's like AJ Delgado, or I'm probably getting his name wrong. It's some guy on Twitter. I'm familiar with him because of Mike Cernovich, another one of these fucking kind of grifty dudes. I know that Mike Cernovich has done some quote-unquote substantial things. I think Mike Cernovich is fucking shady as fuck. So you have this Liminal Order stuff, and it's just full of these people that are trying to sell these guys other things. And that really sticks in my craw, man. I really fucking hate that. I really hate this whole thing with these guys where they prey on the most like vulnerable, awkward, weak dudes and try to promise them some sort of like mentorship, some sort of path to masculinity out of their problems. And it really bothers me. And the more and more I kind of found out about Jack Murphy over the past week, the more I saw that seems like that might be what is going on. And old poor Tim Pool, he got caught up in the grift as well, kind of. I mean, Jack Murphy's on that show all the fucking time, like every other week or something. They're selling his wares, the Liminal Order, the lifestyle. And it's hard to know what is genuine and what isn't. And the great tragedy of all this, I suppose, if you want to call it a tragedy, is that like if he had just handled this slightly differently, this is already dead. The story is already dead in the water. But he can't help himself, and he's on the warpath. So we'll see if this channel is even up later. The stream might get pulled down at some point. Hagward says Jack Murphy is the most plastic of plastic patty. Maverick says I can't wait to see if he's on Wednesday. I don't know. I probably not. I mean, if he was smart, he'd fuck off for a while. If he had fucked off for like 3 weeks, that would be it. It'd be over. It'd be done. It would already be done. If he had just kind of apologized, made a sincere apology, didn't go on Timcast and try to kind of obscure the facts. And yeah. But what's that? Oh, I think I hear something. Might be from our friend here, Jack Murphy.
Go, Matt, go. Yeah, fill her up. I want my slippy slide. Oh, give me that slippy slide for Jack Murphy.
Oh my God. Wow. See, he's really lost it. He's really out there. He's really losing his fucking mind. They're making these weird TikTok videos. I have no idea who this guy is. I have no fucking clue. He's I think he's like a MGTOW weirdo. Oh great, yeah, then the MGTOWs are gonna find me now.
Come on, Jack, my community's getting dry.
Oh, I better call the fire department. I'm sure those boys would like to help out.
Oh no. But anyways, there's just like a just a lot of videos like that. A lot of stuff like that out there on the internet. I heard I wanted to start off too. There's somebody like posited an interesting theory about the liminal order in general. I don't know who this guy is. His name is Arthur Bloom. He's the managing editor of the Modage Journal. He's got somewhat of a following, followed by Amanda Milius. And let's see what he had to say. Let me just see if I can zoom in here. No. Oh my gosh. That's what I get for not paying attention. I'm not doing things right. I'm boomering things up. No. Why can't you just do it like the way I want you to? This is not how Jack Murphy would want this to go. So we'll zoom in a little bit, just so everybody can see a little bit more clearly. What's up, Tarami? Howdy, fellow humans. What's up, buddy? So this is kind of like an interesting, probably completely crazy bullshit theory that somebody came up with about the liminal order, and maybe its origins or something like that. I don't know what you'd want to call it. He says, I don't care that Jack Murphy made porn. What I do care about is that his liminal order seems like a security risk. It looks similar to other blackmail entrapment schemes we've seen in the last few years. In the Jack Murphy saga, we have Georgetown School of Foreign Service grad living under an assumed name, cultivating a vetted secret society of men, apparently one of whom just killed 5 people, which is true. There's a guy that was, I guess, part of the liminal order and also orbited, like, you know, Mike Cernovich, a few other these people, like, got in their mentions a lot. Kind of a physical fitness dude, a MGTOW guy. He shot a bunch of people in Denver. Who used a chat app with shady origins and at least some CIA financing, which, you know, citation needed. Not good. I'm not saying the liminal order is a blackmail ring, but if you wanted to make a blackmail ring, it would look a lot like the liminal order. Murphy claims Wicker, which they use to communicate, has a nation-state level security. We'll see. Like I said more than a year ago to Proud Boys, anyone still in the liminal order should leave now. You should assume your comms are being read. So this is Jack Murphy on the warpath, even though I think everything is kind of blown over, or they thought everything had blown over, like the quartering and Sydney and Elijah from that You Are Here podcast were like, we're not going to do anything else, Jack. We're not going to fuck around. And and he's trying to organize people, I guess, in his circle to find dirt on people so that they can I don't know, ruin their lives, take them to court. He kind of vaguely suggested legal action. Arthur Bloom says at least here's a group whose based members' information is in the hands of a guy who it's not even clear if he's actually a right-winger. He didn't lose his job because of politics. He lost it because of rape apologism. The potential for mischief here is huge. The various people who've boosted him in the last few years should consider the potential for collateral damage to conservatives who get involved with Jack Murphy's program. So I thought that was like an interesting, completely just conspiracy theory fun. I don't know if that's true. I don't know, but it's, it's completely plausible to a certain degree that you would take somebody like that, a compromised person, try to get him to infiltrate a group, try to get into this kind of new burgeoning libertarian right that's happening. What better way than to become friends with the beanie, Tim Pool himself? But he has a whole history of this stuff, and like that guy just said, he did not get canceled for politics. He got canceled because of this article, which is, I'm going to show you guys. It's on the Wayback Machine here. Zoom back in a little bit. It's called Do Feminists Have Rape Fantasies, which is basically just an article about if women like to have rough sex. That feminist women like to be dominated. Well, it's not too long. I guess I could read it. Should we do a cold reading? I've never read it before. Or not the whole thing. I skimmed it. So, all right, let's do it. Let's let's crank up the tunes a little bit. Oh yeah. Here we go. Hopefully my voice doesn't give out. The root of feminist unhappiness these days is their stubborn defiance of desires innate to their DNA. Their insistence of idealizing the male at the expense of the female has led to a breakdown in sexual marketplace, fall of marriage, and rise of divorce. This is a year before the Cuck article. So this is 2015. The Cuck article comes out in 2016. And now the music's too loud. I need a producer, you know what I mean? Feminism built an unsolvable dichotomy within women, resulting in ongoing internal torture. Much like a transgender, they are trapped acting in a way that doesn't reflect who they are on the inside. As a group, they demonize the essence of their nature, devaluing roles like mother and wife, and in its place, have jointly decided that man's work and a man's world were the ideals. They ironically hoisted the idealized image of a man triumphantly as the goal of their revolution. Rather than champion their own comparative advantages, they set impossible standards to achieve. So I think we're probably all following along so far. I think there probably is some truth to what he's saying here. So calm down, everybody. Okay, rather than champion their own comparative advantages, they set impossible standards to achieve. Now that they must always act like men, they are confused when confronted with the dynamics of sex. Oh, here's the turn. When we take off our clothes, the differences are obvious. When our bodies come together, the differences are even more pronounced. What stimulates arousal doesn't seem to line up with how feminists want to shape the world. What feminists deny is that healthy, vigorous sex can and does include violence and aggression. Men have a natural tendency towards dominance, and women to passivity and submission. For a feminist who has rejected polarity and embraced sameness, this presents a paradox. The cognitive dissonance between her chosen dogma and the urge to get choked during sex is painful. I assure you, behind even the most ardent feminist facade is a deep desire to be dominated and even degraded. Their constant refrains otherwise belie an underlying self-hate. But fear not. There is a solution. Tarami says, I'll certainly agree that freedom, as it's often defined, is not necessarily positive for the individual. That depends. I mean, I think it's really just more like cultural trends and what people have put as a value. Like, people have decided that kind of masculine traits are the higher ethic. So women, to feel like that they could have equity or equality with men, had to take on masculine traits to try to find success rather than use like their natural advantages, their natural differences, the things that, make women special and different. Just like men have things that make them special and different. But point taken. So, but fear not. There is a solution. Rape. Not quite rape, but rape. The kind of rape a man who loves his girl commits. Rape conducted under the auspices of consent. Rape safe enough to allow the feminist to begin to claw her way back from the insanity. You see, rape is the best therapy for the problem. Feminists need rape. When a man and a woman tap into the power of rape, they connect to the fundamental truth about our two sexes. We can kill you, but we don't want to, nor do we want others to. So we set up a system to institutionalize this concession, and many others that followed. In a few thousand years, men find themselves apologizing for spreading their legs on the train. Some have even been brainwashed to join in emasculating themselves to the point of effectively being neutered. The farther away you are as a potential rapist, the less desirable you become on a purely physical level. When you rape a woman, you remind her of the man she wishes you were. They adore you for it. Feminists especially. In fact, it saves their lives. It is our duty as men to save feminists from themselves. Therefore, I am offering rape to feminists as an olive branch. Oh boy, a little bit of projection here. Let's come together over consensual rape and melt away our disputes through tear-driven mascara and matted hair. The primal energy is like a lighthouse signaling from shore, the storm clouds of feminism obscuring our common solution. We must zero in on this light and follow it to the truth. The problem we face is that many feminists don't believe consensual acts between adults are okay. Some even think those consenting to rape and violent sex acts are suffering from veritable Stockholm syndrome, where the women are sexually terrorized. Their writers and thought leaders demonize consensual sex acts as a disguise for the act of sexually forcing a woman against her will. Like, he's talking about the most extreme feminists say stuff like that. Tarami says, kind of a clumsy way of putting away a not very controversial idea. Yeah, I think just using the term rape is the thing that's a bridge too far, right? It's way too provocative for what he's trying to say, because he doesn't need to use that term, and that's not even really what he's talking about. So it's just to be provocative. That's it. Probably to get some recognition, notoriety, a few clicks. And I think, honestly, he did. And this is what he lost his job for. He lost his job. He was like on the school board of a charter school, and maybe in DC or Maryland, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, they're just like, yo, you cannot work for the school now. Somebody outed him. I'm not sure who, but he did get found out. This is actually what the thing that turns the tide when he goes from Democrat to deplorable. Choke your way to the cure, or for replicating the very masculine power dynamics used to perpetuate women's oppression. And because rough sex is reinforcing the legitimacy of power imbalances outside the bedroom, and so forth. Those writers are onto something. They know that the truth between our sexes lies in the inescapable reality that women wish to submit to a worthy man, and men of all walks wish to have a submissive woman. Those writers know if a woman embraced violent sex and submission first in the confines of the bedroom, it could very well spread to the remainder of the house, like the kitchen, for example. And they can't have that happening. She might want to make you a sandwich. No. They must keep the shroud over the eyes of their fellow women, shaming them into thinking submission is wrong, telling them that men who want to dominate you are evil, perpetuating not only their fear-based misandry, but creating miserable sexual beings deprived of their very nature. Where are the Caitlyn Jenners out there, who is brave enough to admit that they are submissives trapped in a web of artificial mores and expectations that force them to be dominant? Who will be brave enough to step forth and accept who they really are? The suffering has gone on long enough. And that's about it. So that's what prompted a life change for him. But see, a lot of the stuff seems like a projection, because he's a sexual extremist himself. So he is identifying and looking at people on the other end of that spectrum. Because there's some wild, crazy feminist writers out there. A ton of them. Some wild shit where they think like anytime a woman has sex with a man, it's rape, because how could a woman ever consent to that, etc. Hegbert says, too bad Andrea Dworkin isn't with us anymore. They could have had the best podcast. Well, speaking of podcasts, he did do a few podcasts. So that's what we're gonna get into next, if I can find it. And this is kind of where people are. Just want to make sure I get the right one. So people are, they're connecting. There's a lot of dots out there with Jack to be connected. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of like kind of disparate things that people are drawing the lines. They're like that meme, that Charlie Kelly meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's like looking at the cork board with all the red string and stuff. Like, so people have been kind of doing that. And they're putting together like just crazy dossiers on this dude. Like I said, I initially felt kind of bad for him. Just the more that comes out, you're just like, Jesus Christ. So there's some stuff here about age of consent. There's he did a couple podcasts, like sex podcasts. Back would have been like 2015. Him and his girlfriend, his now fiance, she was on with one of them. And we're going to look at some of those things because like a lot of this stuff seems like it's projection on Jack's part. Jack has a predilection or has the desire to do things. Maybe that's what was wrong with his previous marriages. He finds a girl that's willing to be kind of crazy and adventurous, and he takes it to the max. But as we're going to find out, it may not have been completely, not necessarily, I'm not saying it's not consensual, but she was not super into it. Trump says, also, did you move the stream one day earlier or am I going insane? No, stream is one day earlier. It is. I was just sick over the holidays, just fucking sick. And I just didn't know if I was going to have a chance to do it because tomorrow's New Year's Eve. So I don't know if I would actually have a chance to do it tomorrow on New Year's Eve. But anyways, so we're going to check out this podcast. And then from there, we're going to check out some of the commentary surrounding this stuff. We're going to probably keep it kind of tight tonight. That's a sex podcast, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talk Dirty with Chloe Love. My guest today is the Little Red Hen. I'm really excited for this one. Now, for those of you who have...
So the Little Red Hen is his girlfriend at the time, now his fiance.
Haven't had a chance to listen to my last episode with Jack Murphy, go do that now first, because the Little Red Hen is Jack's live-in girlfriend and submissive. And today we're going to get her side of the story. Hello, my Little Red Hen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. First of all, just thank you so much for doing this with me. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited.
Yay, good.
She's super excited. Prophet says all PUA guys are 2 clicks away from being Patrick Bateman, except they don't have the balls in real life, like Patrick Bateman.
Good. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start maybe by you giving us a little background of how you grew up and the person that you became before you met Jack, and then we'll get into meeting Jack and how that changed you and kind of brought you out. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Awesome. So how did you grow up?
I grew up as an only child with a single mom. So it was very...
Uh-oh. Single parent alert, everybody. Oh, I wonder how many boxes this thing's going to check. No pun intended.
Interesting just being the two of us, 2 single ladies, basically.
Sure.
And my mom was very determined early on to make sure that I didn't repeat the same mistakes that she did.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and they're very conservative, and they have very traditional gender roles. My grandmother was a homemaker. She called herself a domestic engineer.
Nice.
She even came to a career day at school once and taught everyone how to balance a checkbook and recipes and I just thought she was the greatest thing.
Sure.
I really looked up to her and my grandfather. And as I got older, my relationship with my mother blossomed into a really nice friendship. And she told me everything there was to know about sex from, I think, about the 4th grade.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty early.
Oh, wow. Okay. You know, I was gonna skip around this thing, but I think we might have to listen to a lot of it.
Yeah, we grew up very similar.
Yeah,
my mom was the same way.
She wanted to make sure that there was no mystery and that there was no fear. She knew about the pressures of boys and being cool in high school, and she really struggled with that. And so she did everything she could to make sure that I didn't go through that same experience.
Well, that's interesting because you had both influences too. You saw it from a single mother's point of view, but also your grandparents being intact and traditional.
I definitely aspired to something like my grandparents, but at the same time,
And then I met John Goldman.
I had this mom who was kind of out there and independent, and sometimes my grandparents would raise an eyebrow at her. So I had very interesting experiences with that, I suppose.
Was that confusing for you? Like when you were going through puberty and adolescence, how to act around boys? How were you in your earliest sexual stages?
In my earliest sexual stages, I was very outgoing, confident, just didn't, if you would have asked me then, I would have told you, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'll suck your dick, no problem. We got a Melina, Destiny's girlfriend, Melina. This is like one of those types.
I liked boys, and I was kind of out there as a girl. I wasn't.
Prophet says, I'm more interested in that broad who called him out with the super chats. What's her name? She's a cutie. Sydney, I think. Sydney Watson, maybe. Some Australian chick. Well, we're gonna watch. We'll watch some of her video too. She did a video after Jack went on Tim's podcast and kind of lied.
Super girly. I was definitely kind of nerdy, but I didn't have the body of a nerd. So I got a lot of attention, and I had a lot of fun with it. It wasn't something that scared me, and it wasn't something that was very mysterious. So I was all in.
How old were you when you lost your virginity?
It was the night before my 15th birthday.
I was 15 too. Yeah. And how was it for you? Was it disappointing or exciting, or do you remember?
Yeah, I definitely remember. It was interesting. It wasn't necessarily disappointing, but it wasn't a wow experience either.
Right. It
was just something that we wanted to do. I was dating,
and I've been with John ever since.
You can call it that. This guy that was basically my best friend, who I wasn't really attracted to, but we were teenagers and had hormones, and we cared about each other, so it just seemed like the right thing to do.
In a lot of ways, that's probably better than the alternative. At least it's somebody that respected you as a person back then.
Totally. Yeah, I have no regrets about it at all.
Okay, so after that, were you more of a dater? Did you have serious relationships, or what were you like throughout high school?
That's an interesting question. So I moved in the middle of high school. And in my second version of high school, basically, I had a much different experience and I was a much different person. So I got involved in my local music scene and ended up hanging out with a crowd that was much older than I was. I didn't do too much dating, but I did crush pretty hard and do some experimenting. But I wasn't much of a dater until my senior year of high school, when I had my first real long-term boyfriend. In high school, I was vegetarian and I was straight edge, so I didn't drink, I didn't do drugs, and I was not interested in partying, but I was definitely interested in sex. I definitely got caught sneaking out and being caught in very precarious situations by my mom and teachers and things.
It's a good start to a sexual journey for sure.
Oh, I wonder why. I wonder if her mom had anything to do with that.
Sure.
Yeah, sex was something I was not afraid of. My mom spent a lot of time drilling me on what is sex and how does it happen and what.
Hagrid in the chat says, so she blew drummers. Check. All right, let's skip ahead. So there is a timestamp here that actually has to do with her and old Murph. This is 43:30. We'll go a little bit before that, just so in case there's any broader context.
Mm-hmm. He presented it to me. Why don't we do this for a year?
Okay, here we go. See? You always got to, you can't trust these people on the internet that try to clip things and stuff or want to show you, get you right. No, give me a little bit of space. Give me some room.
That I read maybe once a week or so, and some exercises to do that really help me with the jealousy and with the trust. And it's been great.
Would you recommend any? I mean, I know you recommended
polyamory.com.
Oh, Jesus. So they've been talking about this for a minute. Okay.
That he did not want me to see anyone else. And I could see it on his face, and we had lots of conversations about it.
It's interesting how when you get into a serious relationship with somebody, even that you're compatible with and everything works together, you're forced to face your demons in a whole nother way because you confront them. So, but that is what makes you stronger and able to, bring these kind of issues to the front and talk about them and make them non-issues, hopefully heal in the process. So
absolutely. We had this tug of war and this back and forth, and every time we would come back together, we would be closer and on a new level every time.
Yes.
And so I think it was because of that progress every time that we were able to continue the conversations and continue working on it, because we both like to make progress and we both stick to what we say we're going to do. And I was definitely in a process of change and was willing to change and was open to the idea. So every time we came back together, it was better.
So during that time, those early days, were you seeing other people?
No. So that was another thing I struggled.
So that's the thing. Like, Jack wanted to have an open relationship, and he found this girl who was kind of submissive by nature, kind of do what he wanted her to do. And he wanted to go and, spread his wild oats, but still have a girlfriend, still have this at-home lady, an old lady. She wasn't totally down with it at first. And this is something that seems to be a trend. I did an old Nightcap a while ago. I actually had to edit it out because the person found the video and flagged it and hit me with a hard copyright strike. But it was like one of these submissives, and they were talking about like being a master or the relationship between a submissive and a master, and how she was really not into most of the things he wanted to do and basically had to force herself to get used to it. And that's like part of their pathology, is that they'll just like want to get used to it. Like they'll want to actually be kind of gaslit, and they want to have a feeling of Stockholm syndrome almost. Maverick says, what an alpha. Indeed. Trump says, still wanted a backup plan. I don't think for him, I don't think it's a backup plan. I think he likes the humiliation stuff, which I think we're going to find out a little bit about.
With, because Jack made it very clear that he did not want me to see anyone else. And so I struggled with, I had done all this research on open relationships and the difference between open relationships and poly relationships. And,
what is the difference?
Jack has always explained it to me that poly relationships, you're in love with more than one person.
Right.
You have multiple real girlfriends. And an open relationship was one where you had sex with multiple people and everyone knew.
Right.
And maybe you have a primary relationship, but then you also have other partners.
Right.
And so it was upsetting to me or confusing to me that I didn't feel like I was in, quote, an open relationship, because we weren't open. And I was worried, was he manipulating me? Was he taking advantage of me? There isn't a lot of stuff online where there's only one partner who's open and the other is not.
Right.
Did other girls that he was fucking know that I existed? Because then that's not open.
Right.
Right. Prophet says, an alpha's favorite flavor, the briny funk of a creamed roast beef.
And that leads for drama and dishonesty and made me uncomfortable.
Sure. Of course,
if the other girl knew that he has a girlfriend, he does not want another girlfriend, that he's only interested in her for sex, for some reason, I feel much better knowing that she knows that explicitly.
But it's funny that by knowing that, the girl is probably more likely to try to, make a play for him. As girls,
and
we know that. So.
Yeah, and so Jack and I have always had that disconnect where I say, what you're saying to her sounds wonderful, but what she's hearing is,
yes.
And well, that's going to make her think this. And if you take her out for dinner, she's going to think this. And if you
Men
text
just
her
don't
a ton,
understand that. Yeah, they don't understand.
If you text her a ton in between and ask her questions about her life, she's going to think this. Like we battled over that. How I said he didn't understand and he said I didn't understand.
It seems like an awful lot of work an awful lot of work to be in a relationship with somebody that doesn't want to be committed to you. Now, listen, people can do whatever the fuck they want. And the only reason we're talking about this person in particular, is because they are like a trad life alpha guru, a mentor.
Right. And I think
Like,
there's
he wasn't doing this when he was a young guy. This is not like, he wasn't like 20 years old. He was like 40.
truth to both sides of that. But I've had that conversation, and women
Exactly right, Prophet. Who has time for this shit? Exactly.
women will take, if a woman is into a guy, she could take the tiniest little morsel of something and turn it into he
essence.
loves me, he wants
Exactly.
it's forever. We're gonna, like, that's what women do. They live in this weird relationship fantasy world, and they use these false markers to kind of establish what
Absolutely.
it is. So
Yeah.
that stuff worried me a lot too. And my husband says the same thing. He's like, you don't understand. And I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Yes.
So in reality, neither of us probably understand the other side. So
Right.
yeah. Okay, so how did you come to terms with that?
Prophet says, the Pakistani man says, you have one wife, you have 1 million problems. You have two wives, you have 100 million problems. It's exponential.
With the other girls in the open relationship.
Well, time
Yeah.
and,
Conversations.
tons of conversations. Poor Jack. But, Jack
Poor
kept
Jack.
saying,
Poor Jack.
look at the past year that we've been together. Look at the past amount of time we've been together. Have you ever been neglected? No. Have you ever been treated badly? No. Are you happy? Yes. Except for, and he was like, well, just, are you happy? Yes. And he's like, I've been seeing other girls, and there's tons of girls you don't know about even. And and you're still happy.
She's, I don't know, I guess maybe at this time she was not a live-in girlfriend. I'd have to assume. Like, how close were they? How often were they seeing each other? Like, when you're in love with somebody, especially when you like first meet, you spend like all your time with that person. That's all you want to do. You're like infatuated. It's not even love at first. It's infatuation. And it sucks up all of your like psychological real estate. Trauma says, turn down the podcast Tad. It's quite loud compared to you. You got it, man. Yeah, I was worried that it wasn't going to be loud enough. So I got this like volume booster, but thank you for pointing it out. I appreciate it.
And I still love you, and I'm more in love with you today than I ever have been. So he's like, why is that not good enough?
Constant reassurance.
And and I did some more in-depth research on jealousy and did a couple big exercises that really helped me. And, I realized that.
Is that a little bit better? Just let me know. I could turn it down some more.
We are in too deep at this point for him to just be faking it.
Right.
And the trust that we had developed was only lacking because of me at that point. I wasn't allowing myself to just dive in.
Well, I think trust is a choice.
Absolutely.
At some point, you have to decide, I am going to trust this person. I am going to trust my instincts. That doesn't mean you don't see red flags. It just means that you let go of that fear. And once that happens, everything seems to work out a little better. So
so I let go, and I was all in, and it's been pretty smooth sailing ever since. I'm not perfect, obviously.
No,
but,
me neither. Ever.
But it's something I work on every day constantly. I have a couple websites that I have bookmarks that I read maybe once a week or so, and some exercises to do that really help me with the jealousy and with the trust.
Like, if you have to go through all this, like, I got to read these affirmations, and I got to like go to this website and exercise those breathing exercises to don't lose my fucking mind. Maybe something's wrong. Maybe it's just not right. Maybe you should trust your intuition a little bit, If something feels wrong in your gut sometimes, it just means it's wrong. Or it's wrong for you.
Trust, and it's been great.
Would you recommend any? I mean, I know you recommended
polyamory.com.
Yeah.
They have a great message board.
Is there any other sites that you would recommend for women that are going through something similar?
There are a couple sites. One
Trauma says she sure invests a whole fucking lot into this relationship. Yeah, and it seems kind of one-sided in that respect, right? Like, Jack's not the one freaking out. Jack's not the one having trouble.
Site that works for me great is called morethan2.com.
Okay.
And they have a great excerpt on jealousy that I reread constantly. And honestly, I just Googled how to manage jealousy.
Right.
There's lots of, theoretical discussion on what jealousy is and where it comes from, but I Googled how to manage jealousy and found a few really great articles with very concrete steps into overcoming and understanding your jealousy.
Which works really well for you because, like you said, you're a planner and
Absolutely.
you need that confines of rules. I'm the same way.
Yep.
Yeah.
I found this guide that basically helps you deconstruct everything on a very minute level. And I really finally understood that where my fear came from and what certain things.
So I guess the big takeaway for this portion is that like it was like a slow slide into this. Like he seems premeditated and kind of building her up to the idea of her also sleeping around with other people. Or is it just that he was so insecure that he just didn't think he could handle it at first until he had kind of gone out there and sussed out the situation? Like emotionally, how will I feel about this? How will I feel about cheating on my girlfriend? Before she cheats on me, I gotta test those waters, man. I gotta see what that's like. Can't be letting her taste this forbidden fruit. Prophet says it's not just a chic product endorsed by Jewel, but isn't it though? Isn't it now?
Triggered me meant. And once I realized how silly they all were on paper, I was like, oh, duh, I'm fine.
Right. You took the emotion out of it.
Yep.
Exactly. That's brilliant. My first guest on the show was my friend Tyler Vinn, and he was in an open BDSM relationship with his wife.
Nice.
Because they were unsatisfied with their sex life, so they opened their marriage. And he said that there was no jealousy, and that should have been a trigger to him to show him that they just recently separated and got divorced, but that it wasn't working for them.
Oh, no way. Oh, no way. They separated and got divorced. Who could have seen it coming? Such a shame.
Because jealousy is such a natural emotion to go through when you're in a relationship like that. If you're not going through that.
Yeah, if you're not in constant like psychological, mental anguish about what your partner is doing, then do you even care?
It's actually a bigger sign that something is wrong. So.
Right.
And think about how much you've learned about yourself by just asking yourself those questions and doing that research and forcing yourself to like look at it differently. It's a gift,
Yeah, it really is. And I've uncovered this whole new side of me and this whole different level of trust that I had no idea existed. So it's been really nice.
Yeah, you got conditioned. Oh, there, redhead. You got conditioned. Traumi says, correction. There was no jealousy that anyone spoke up about. Exactly, because something eroded the relationship. Something did. I'd be curious to know, like, was it amicable, this breakup? Or did somebody actually have kind of some deep-seated negative feelings about the other person because of, I don't know, because maybe they did. One of them was jealous. The other one wasn't. And they thought that was fucking weird. Maybe.
How long after that did you move in? What was that like? He was like, hey, you want to move in with me? Or
oh my goodness. It was interesting. It was interesting. He found a house and started really considering moving about 5-6 months later. And at that point I had been staying at his apartment. Basically every day. Mm-hmm. There were maybe 1 or 2 nights a week here and there where I was not there. And I had gone through a transition with my job and changed careers and all this stuff was happening and he was helping me with that. And it just, to be honest, it just made sense that we moved in together, but neither one of us wanted to move in for that reason.
Right.
And so he presented it to me as kind of a business transaction. Mm-hmm. He presented it to me, why don't we do this for a year and you can stay here rent free and you can save and then we'll reevaluate in a year and we'll take it slow and see what happens.
This guy is a psycho. This guy is a sociopath. And she's like, this is just normal, funny stories. Just anecdotes about my relationship. I don't know, man. The grift king can grift. He's shady as fuck. Shady as fuck, even with this.
That's actually a brilliant way to approach that.
Yeah, it was something that he proposed. And, at the time, the idea was for me to continue working. The idea was not for me to stay home.
When did you decide to stay home then?
We decided to stay home. I think I quit my job in April. So fairly soon after we actually moved in. There was lots of planning. We had probably 2 months of planning, which in that time it was his proposal, and then I had some questions, and we altered the proposal and our expectations, and then we were like, shake hands. We'll move forward with this proposal.
Did you put any contracts in writing, or was it all verbal? Or
we had discussed having contracts, but we never got to it. Yeah, we never
Oh, contract talk. The love is definitely in the air.
went through with it because I think the process would have been too difficult because I'm very exact and I want to spell everything out, and Jack is just trust me, I'll take care of it type of thing. Like, let's see what happens when the situation arrives.
Yeah, she wants to know what she's getting into, and Jack's like, hey, listen, let's just play it by ear. Let's just feel it out. She'd be like, in her contract, like, you can only have sex with 2 other women a week, Jack. Jack's like, whoa. Wait a second. We'll talk about it later. Listen, when's dinner?
Knows what I'll feel like that day.
Right.
So we never went through with any type of contract, but we moved in together. We really enjoyed it. And, Jack one day said to me, I know that we said we would do this for a year and then reevaluate, but I really don't want you to ever leave.
Oh,
and that to me was like,
that's big.
Thank God. I don't want to either. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's really nice that we went about this in a very smart kind of business-like way. But when all is said and done, we love each other, and that's why we're here and we're in this together. And so that's when we were both really open about he wanted me to stay home, and the schedule just wasn't working, and it was so stressful for me to try and plan days off at work so that I could help with baseball and do all these things. He was like, honestly,
he wanted somebody to be there to take care of his kids. That's what he wanted. He wants a wifey, but he wants all the other things that come with being just like a fucking wild single guy. But he also wants somebody to be at home and take care of his fucking business. And when he writes about it, he's like, this is so alpha. Like, I'm just like, yeah, dude, I fucking own this bitch. I fucking own this shit. I own it. But as presented here, it seems like maybe it's really not quite so much that. Prof says, I bet he wanted the Aussie broad to top him. That's what this was all about. Oh, he definitely, I think he has a, and I don't throw around this word lightly. I think he's slightly misogynistic. I think he's slightly a misogynist. Just the way he reacts to like that woman allegedly like kind of putting him down or whatever. He thought she was like trying to instigate something with him. And the way that he reacts to somebody like Tim Pool telling him that he loves the state more than he loves his own children. Yeah.
Yeah, just please, just come home. Just stay home. Nice. And so that decision, along with moving in, really solidified a lot of things for both of us, I think.
I bet it did. Yeah. I mean, and you're an asset to each other's lives in so many ways,
Mm-hmm.
So then what is it like dealing with his exes and having children involved? Do you get put in the middle, or, I imagine that you kind of you let Jack handle most of it, right?
Yep.
But there has to be times where you come face to face with these women, and that's an issue, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. In the beginning, it was frustrating for me because I was like, what is my role here? Am I the cool lady that dad sees? Am I kind of a stepmom figure? Right. One of his kids.
Oh yeah. I take care of his kids. And I tell those other bitches, like, I'm here now. Okay. I live with him now. Okay. Cause I think he has kids. I think maybe 2 other women he has kids with. I'm not 100% sure. Or I think he has 3 kids. I'm not sure if each of them are from a different woman or woman rather, or whatever the deal is. But I'm not sure. This Gaming Dragon says, I'm watching Timcast right now and I don't know what happened to Jack Murphy. I know about the Cuck article. Oh, it got a lot darker, my friend. Go to Kiwi Farms and look up Jack Murphy. It'll tell you the tale. Hagbert says he wanted to be spit roasted by her and Elijah. Oh yeah. Prophet says, even that white rapper who talks like Denzel Washington stood up to Tim Pool. Kind of. Yeah. At least he got angry. Heartfelt. Bitch.
Kids is very young, and I had ideas on how to do potty training and how to do certain things. And
sure.
It was frustrating for me because, sometimes I do have to step back and realize this is not my child, even though I spend a ton of time with this child.
That's so hard.
Yeah, and so
Yeah, I'm sure this doesn't fuck up Jack's kids at all. It doesn't give them some sort of warped perspective on what parents are or what caretakers are, what a mother is. I'm sure it doesn't fuck them up at all. But don't worry, guys. Fucking apex level here. Apex level alpha shit.
we've evened out. We've learned how to communicate about the kids in a special way and how to make decisions. And
Good.
I've learned to communicate my ideas and things with him that do not sound pushy or critical, which was really important.
Yeah.
And, with me, Jack, and the kids, it's smooth sailing. But I do have to deal with the exes. And they're usually not too bad, to be honest. And Jack really limits the interaction that either one of us have with them.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to always kill them with kindness and to just be the best version of myself so that they can have absolutely no excuse to talk shit or be concerned.
That's generally my philosophy on life. Kill them with kindness.
Yep.
And, keep all my demons and baggage buried deep.
Absolutely.
Some people that would hurt you with them.
Right.
So.
And I always figure at the end of the day, if I'm good to their children, then they cannot complain.
That should be the only thing that matters. But yeah, it's unfortunately not always the case. But I'm glad you guys have done that. I bet Jack kind of getting his own shit together and controlling situations more probably helps.
Tarami says, I mean, if a relationship isn't a list of rules as long as the fucking Torah, is it really a relationship worth being in? Well, some of it, yeah, right. There should be some sort of effort put into it, right? It shouldn't be like a walk in the park. It should mean something to you, something you want to invest in. Try at. Not some people, though.
That a lot, too, right?
It does, yeah. But it's at the same time, it's also, kind of the Achilles heel as well, because we're not fully in control of the situation because these women do have a power over him and the kids and us. And that can be very frustrating for both of us.
Yeah, and that's what Jack hates. That's why he has like kind of a weird controlling thing with women. It stems from his previous relationships that were not good or not what he wanted them to be. Maybe they emasculated him. Maybe they continue to do that by leveraging his children against them. That's kind of what it seems like to me. Like, that's what I've picked up over the past couple weeks, just learning about his life and reading some of his older stuff. A lot of it seems like it's motivated from that place.
But especially Jack, who likes to be in control and is usually correct. He's usually, the one that can find the plan that makes the most sense. And it's frustrating to have to deal with these women who
sounds like it.
Are dealing very much based in irrational emotions and
definitely
alternate realities, at times.
Right.
And so it can be very frustrating for both of us. And it's hard to work through that. But I think that's something he's constantly working on. It's something he does really well at.
Well, it sounds like you guys are really working out all those kinds of things.
Prophet says it stems from his mama. Jack needs to turn his heart to his father and forgive his mother. This is true. JLP, forever he be. Correct. This Game of Drag says, you hear the quartering is under attack. Yeah. Well, I mean, the quartering started this to a certain degree. But yes, they're having a little bit of a back and forth. And I think I might watch some of that later.
I mean, it sounds like a healthy environment, at
Absolutely,
least from your guys' point of view. So that helps a lot. That helps a lot. Yeah, I can tell. I don't think anybody that follows Jack on Twitter or reads his blog doesn't. We all know that he cares a lot about his kids.
Oh yeah,
and he does whatever he has to protect them and to lead them as best as he can. So you're an asset to that.
Yeah, except for providing them with a normal, stable home life. Other than that, though, great dad.
All right, let's see. We've talked about all the other women and child rearing, and now we're going to talk about sex.
Cool.
Okay. So one of the things that Jack and I talked about specifically was the time he made you masturbate in the hall of your building. And getting yourself off there. I want to talk about that.
Oh, goodness. It was hard for me to listen to you guys chat about it. His voice is so sexy.
Yeah.
And then to hear him reliving all those, I was just like, ooh.
You could tell he was really into it too.
Yeah.
I love the part where he stops and he's like, yeah, that's really hot. You obviously turn his crank really well. So, yeah.
It's my job.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's a fun job.
I love it.
Mm.
So that night in the hallway was really interesting because we had spontaneously gone out
I think she fell in a well.
to a bar across the street from our house, and he had me do something that made me super uncomfortable. He wanted me to go flirt with someone at the bar and like hit on them, and he was gonna watch. And I did not want to do it. I was like, that is so weird. I don't want to. I didn't think he would be jealous, but I just genuinely didn't think I could do it, and I wasn't interested. Like you, I had no desire to sleep with anyone else or to date anyone else. Jack is all I want, and no one had ever done that before. You know, I'm used to very jealous boyfriends. And he literally pushed me out of the booth and said, those two guys, go sit next to them, go flirt with them. I'm going to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it, even though
Hot.
I didn't want to, and I had no idea what I was going to do, and I was so nervous. But I started, and I could feel him watching me, and I would steal glances, and he was just unashamed, unabashedly staring at me while I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to flirt with these men like nobody's business because I was so turned on. Because I was doing his bidding. I was doing something
Right.
for him that he told me to do.
Jack just sitting in the booth, like, just hard as a rock, heavy breathing. He's like, this is what it's all about. His first taste of the cuck life.
Exactly. It's not
And-
about the men, it's about Jack.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He gave me a signal to come back, and I was like, okay, bye-bye to these guys. And I just went back and sat in the booth with him, and it was weird, and it was hot, and I was like, I'm ready to go home. And we had a quick walk home, and that's when he started just giving me more commands on the way home. And more commands, stand over there, take your shirt off, take your pants off. And I've never had sex in public at that point, let alone being naked in someone's apartment building. I was very hesitant and nervous, but I couldn't stop myself.
He had a gun, so I figured I should do what he said. Prophet says, this story is pretty hot. I want to be one of the guys at that table.
From listening to him and taking my clothes off.
Right, right.
And as someone who was not big into masturbating either, I was like, oh God, I don't even know if I can do this. He's telling me to come on command in public, and someone could walk in on me at any time. And I ended up
Such
coming
a rush.
so quickly.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, this person she's talking to is like getting very aroused. Straight up says, when do we get to the peeing already? Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming. Gaming Dragon says, I didn't choose the cuck life. The cuck life chose me. Murphy out.
Such
So
a rush.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was filming it, and he loved it, and it just opened up a whole new door for me.
I bet.
It was great.
You and Jack kind of have gotten into some kinky antics, right? So this is kind of an extension of what we were just talking about. Is he had written a post about how he sends you off to meet guys that you meet off of Tinder, and you have sex with them and take pictures and then report back to him. And with regards to like the Tinder post and you sleeping with other men because Jack asked you to, how did that come about? How did he approach that idea with you?
You know, we had a few conversations in the past about why can't I see other people? Well, you know, I really don't want to see other people. And I thought for a long time that maybe if I did, that I would somehow feel vindicated and feel like I'm in an open relationship and that all of the problems would go away, which is of course not true. And Jack was very nice in pointing that out. But he casually mentioned it a few times.
He's so wise, guys. He's just guiding her through this process, just one experience at a time.
And said, you know, why don't you just go on Tinder and start matching with people and just have some casual conversations? He was like, don't make any plans. Don't give out your number. Just do it and see how you feel. And I did. And then he would read them and we'd take it a step farther. He's like, okay, find two guys and give them your number and just start chatting. And then, you know, he has the password to my phone and he would go in and read the text message conversations. And I could see how turned on he was.
I was going to say, it was getting him worked up. Yeah.
I mean,
I could just see him. Oh, Just scrolling through her phone. Hagrid says, next up, the quartering is going to expose Jack's persona. Well, as kind of a hairy guy myself, I think his persona is just him being naked. Tarami says, one alpha move at a time.
And he would like read my text messages and like stroke his dick.
Yeah,
like and then it would like, you know, give us this charge and we'd fuck and then we'd talk about it and see how we feel. And it just kept turning both of us on. You know, I was turned on that he was so into it.
Yeah.
And I was turned on that I was doing something that made him so into it.
Well, and the fact that maybe you're reluctant at first to do this, but like his arousal is so significant that,
right.
You know, yeah, that's very hot.
Yeah. So. And, you know, for me, a lot of the fear and anticipation and the wanting to please him turns me on. And so I was like, are my conversations sexy enough? Am I doing a good job? And he was like, these are great.
These are the best. Tarami says, the host seems like she's getting genuinely aroused. Yeah, I picked up on that myself. Prophet says, when he's scrolling through the phone, he looks like that close-up of Sam Hyatt's bloated, sweaty face. Probably true.
And so, you know, we were each getting our own charge out of it.
Sure.
So eventually he was like, okay, pick one.
Matt from Tinder, right?
Matt from Tinder. He was the one.
Let's talk about Matt from Tinder. Okay,
sure.
So you went to meet him. Did you have dinner? Was it the first time? Was it sex? Like, how was it set up?
So the three of us all found ourselves with an afternoon off. And it was quite last minute. I said, he's available at 4. Should I go? And he was like, yes, go. And so I just went to his house and he was like, just come over and let's have a couple drinks and see what we want to do. He's like, if you want to go out, we can go out. Let's just see what happens. And so I think most women know that if you're having drinks at someone's house on a first date, that you are most likely going to fuck.
That's what
right.
it looks like.
I mean, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
let's not pretend.
Right. And you went there knowing that. So
yes,
yeah.
I did. And that's what Jack wanted. He wanted me to have a good time and flirt, and he wanted me to fuck him that day. Mm-hmm. And that was my goal. And I was super nervous and it was super weird.
I bet.
But it was also really fun.
Because you were thinking about Jack and telling him later. And
yeah.
Got a couple questions here. Maverick says, I've never used Tinder. There, I said it. Neither have I. I never had to. I ended up just meeting my wife, so I just didn't ever end up using it. Sean, is this interview from now or was it unearthed? This is from, I think, 2016, 2017. Maybe 2018. One of those years. Tarami agrees, finds parody with you, Maverick. And Prof says, also, where's that Aussie broad at tonight? We're gonna get there.
And I was nervous, and someone's really into me, and what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What is he gonna do? Is he gonna make the move? Am I gonna have to make the move? Oh, I really don't want to make the move.
He's gonna make the move.
Okay. Well, let's see. You know, like this constant monologue in my head.
Sure, hot. So was the sex good?
No, the sex was terrible.
It was terrible. Except that you were thinking about Jack, so at least you were hot and wet, and
exactly
thinking about how he was going to fuck you after. I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you met up with Matt again one other time, correct? I love this story. So you have to tell me this one again.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories. We found ourselves with some time, and we're like, let's go out.
Okay, so I think that's probably like covers that. Like we kind of understand a little bit of the dynamics of their relationship and what went on with that. At least to a certain degree. There is one, I think this is a clip from, if I'm not mistaken, it's a clip from one of the podcasts that Jack was on. So we'll check that out. And he's talking about, I think, pissing on his girlfriend. Hold on.
One night. I mean, we've done this. That particular circumstance maybe two or three times. Sometimes we experiment and play with water sports. Not everybody's into that, but
can you guys hear that?
Explain to my listeners what water sports are.
Water sports is urination. And after this instance with Matt from Tinder, we came back to our house, and on the front steps of the house, I had her blow me
Okay, so straight up says, please, no more degenerate giggles. Prophet says, Jesse Lee Peterson would spend 45 minutes listening to that entire interview, giggle a little bit, and just say, I rest my case. Hagrid says, that's simply marking territory. Maverick can hear me, thank you. Quite loud. God, it's hard to do this by when you don't have I don't have any levels with StreamYard, so I can't see what the levels are.
Right here in the neighborhood. It was late, so I wasn't going to run into the neighbors. And then, I peed all over her face and her body and her mouth right there on the front steps.
Yep.
And the sexual charge that comes from knowing that she just fucked somebody else is really intense.
Right. And then peeing on her is kind of.
So he pissed. So she gets home. He meets her out on the stoop. He forces her to blow him, and then as she's blowing him, he pisses all over her. Come on. Straight up says, what? So it's not waterboarding or water polo?
Claiming her back and humiliating her for it all at the same time, which is part of that kink. So
yeah, it absolutely is. And frankly, we don't really do water sports that often, but it's the times where she's come back from fucking somebody else or we've had a threesome or whatnot. That's when I'm most into it. And it's absolutely right. It's about marking her again, resubmitting her again, reclaiming her, reconfirming her position and reestablishing the power. And not only does it get me hard and excited, it's getting me a little harder now, actually.
I bet.
But
I'm really wet too. So
oh my God. Contain yourselves, people. You're adults.
It charges me creatively too. I mean, it just unleashed a torrent of writing and posts for me. Awesome. And it really just brought a lot of energy into me. And my go-to masturbation fantasy, I don't masturbate that often, but when I do, it usually involves some other guy fucking her.
Boy.
Well, there you go. So that's that little clip. Prophet says, I've never not pissed on a woman. Well, that's because you're feral. You're a feral man. Let me see. We got tons more stuff. We got some more audio stuff we could listen to. There was one thing I wanted to check out right before we do that. There's another thing that kind of here it is. People were being critical of old Murph. Apparently he was on Timcast not that long ago. This is from earlier this year where he's talking about, I think, the age of consent. So we'll see here. How much does he hate her? Asparagus night. Well, when you really want to kick into shame. Maverick says there was someone on Gen Y earlier berating people for sex shaming. It's not, see, here's the thing, right? This is my whole thing with this. If people want to do this kind of shit, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's your business. What you do between consenting adults, whether or not you're fucking idiots or not, whatever. The thing I have with Jack Murphy is that he pushes himself as a trad macho guy that is there to help young men or just men in general. Awkward, insecure, and it seems like to me it might be a little bit of a grift. This is just, he found a way to make some money. He starts off with I'm a Democrat to deplorable. He wrote a book at the time. It was 2019, 2018. Tim Pool was starting Timcast IRL. Anybody that said that they were used to be a Democrat and were now a conservative or now a Republican, he would have them on their show. And Jack is local to Tim. So I think they developed a friendship of sorts, whatever that means. And yeah. Let's see here. Jack is talking about, I think, the age of consent stuff.
A mature, established 35-year-old man.
See? And now this one's too quiet. These fuckers. Motherfucker, can't get your break.
Cannot have a healthy, productive, fruitful relationship with a woman 10 years younger than him.
I didn't say that. I just think
you just said they were immature and they shouldn't be matched up.
22.
Okay, 22, 23, 24.
Look,
women mature way more
college.
Women mature way more quickly than men, dude. way more quickly.
It's preference.
At age 15, they're basically women already, right? And it's like men hit their prime in their 30s,
35.
Why wouldn't a man in his prime latch on to a woman in her prime? Why not? That seems the most logical thing possible.
That's what's happened for millennia.
Older
men would marry like 15-year-olds.
And the societal, shame
in this society
around dating a younger woman is just jealousy. It's jealousy because, as you said,
because I'm alpha, dog, and that's what I like. I like him young. No, I know you are, dude. I'm just bullshit. I know. I'm getting like there was if you guys watched Ricada Law when he was like covering trials, he could never get the sound right, and he just started freaking out at people. I feel his pain a little bit because you can't tell on this side of it. You can't see it. You can't tell on this side of it. Oh no, Maverick says I see nothing wrong here so far. No, because he's acknowledging like a historical thing or the context changes right through time. What is necessary for human beings to kind of move on, or there was probably just some people that were degenerates. But he uses it in a way to justify and rationalize his own feelings about what he does. I think that's kind of the subtext here. We didn't know that at first, right? We didn't realize this about Jack Murphy or his predilections when he first said this on Timcast. So it kind of goes like, oh, well, they're trying to make a broader point about social mores and et cetera, et cetera. And now when you see it kind of under a different light, well, it is, some food for thought. I'm not saying it's actually like a damning thing, but
every man in the world wants to date a 22-year-old woman.
According to OkCupid data.
According to OkCupid,
I don't know.
Your own two eyes, all of history, every piece of literature,
I'm citing
every
this
book
on
you ever
purpose
saw.
because it's not your opinion. OkCupid actually tracked
I know.
all the messages.
Yeah.
And they found no matter how old a guy was, from even younger guys.
Why do you think that is?
Always mentioning 22-year-olds.
Why do you think that is?
For, I think, evolution, like biological reasons.
Right, exactly right.
And what OkCupid...
Okay, yeah, 22 is a far cry from 15. All right, let's just be clear here. So they can go all day, like, yeah, girls are basically women at 15, and they are who they're going to be, and they used to do this back in the day. They used to do this back in the day. Okay, listen, I'm just talking. Straight up says R. Kelly was a way better at this scam. Maverick laughs, agrees.
Cupid found was that, very disgustingly, in my opinion, men are actually attracted to women much, much, much younger than that, but would not want to have a family with someone younger than that. So men choose 22 as the equilibrium between mental and physical maturity.
Why is that disgusting?
That's kind of a fucking weird way to put that. He says like women or men are naturally attracted to women much younger than 22. I'm gonna say no. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I find anybody under the age of 25 fucking annoying. I couldn't even imagine dating a girl that was like even like 19 or 20. That seems like it would be awful. Tarami says, yeah, 22 isn't underage by any stretch of the definition. No, it's not. But the thing is, they kind of conflated it with the 15-year-old thing. Because it happens like they're basically kind of talking past each other. So I think a lot is being lost in translation there. But Maverick says it's 16 here in the Shires. Yeah, age of consent. When I was 14, I thought that was too old. Spain was 12. Jesus Christ. Yeah, some places still got a ways to go. I say let kids be kids. You know what I mean?
There's nothing
kids.
wrong. Well, little kids, of course, dude.
Well, that's hyperbolic on my part.
Right,
like,
but there's literally
teenagers.
nothing wrong with seeing a woman of fertile age. And
he's like more upset about this than he was when Tim told him that he didn't love his children. He's like, whoa, Tim. Whoa, we really got to hammer this down, dude. She's fertile. Have you ever heard the phrase, if there's grass, play? Come on, Tim.
And thinking she is an attractive sexual partner. But like acting on that with an 18-year-old woman is a completely different story. But there's nothing wrong with seeing an 18-year-old woman, and being like, oh, she's attractive. Of course she is. She's in the prime of her beauty.
About 18. OkCupid data said men want women younger than that.
Okay, well,
and that I find creepy.
He always just like this. Always these appeals to authority, like these convenient appeals to authority. A poll matters when they want it to. The data matters when they want it to. But if it doesn't, like jive with what they're selling you more broadly, then well, that stuff is crazy. Maverick says, watching this back, Jack seems super sensitive. You're so right. I didn't think much about it then. She's fertile and dressed up as a urinal. Nice one, Hagbird.
Yeah, it is.
Society has rules. Like
it is creepy today, but guess what? It wasn't creepy until just recently.
I don't know.
All of humanity, all of history, all of time.
I still think it was creepy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of past cultures did a lot of really creepy, gross stuff.
Well, there you go. That's a lot. I think I would agree. Like just because it was okay or people thought it was okay at a certain time period really has no bearing on the moment. You could say like in context, oh, well, historically, like maybe we understand why those things developed, or maybe people were just less sensitive to those things. I don't know. Let me see here. What else can we do here? Let's look up the Sydney Watson video. See what. So this is her addressing the incident. We won't watch the whole thing. Holy Christ. We won't watch the whole thing, but we'll just kind of dip in and out because it has the relevant clips.
Life is weird. Here we go.
Oh yeah, some royalty-free music, Sydney. I like it.
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. And as per usual, this video is sponsored by me. Go subscribe to the email list on my website if you so desire, or buy some of my merch. I don't know.
She's got a wonky eye, guys. She's got a wonky eye. Maybe this is why like Jack was so infuriated. He's like, this fucking 6 is gonna step to me, the apex predator. I don't think so.
You do you. Now, some of you may or may not be aware that I was involved in an incident on my show You Are Here with Elijah Schaefer on Blaze TV on our last episode of the year, which was on the 17th of December, for those of you who need all the details. It was—
Oh my God. We got a fucking Sydney Watson simp in the house, everybody. Oh my God. You're one of these white knights Jack was talking about. Good God. Sydney did nothing wrong, damn it.
was in fact a beautiful way to round out 2021. It really gave me the warm and fuzzies. I will play the clip, but for those of you who haven't seen it and for context and a refresher, we brought on a guest called Jack Murphy, and the show was going really well up until the end when I was reading super chats. And
Travis says he means Apex Legends Predator. He's really good at that video game. Yeah, he plays it with his girlfriend and her boyfriend. Maverick says, Sydney.
And I read one that referenced an article that he had written some years ago, and he got very upset and swore at me. And then at the end of the show, he got up and briskly walked away. Like I said, I will play that clip now, but for those of you who want to see the full episode or think there's more context.
Maverick says, do you really think she's a 6? No, I was channeling Jack Murphy, Maverick. I'm with it too. Shut up. Don't do that.
To be had from watching it, I will link it in the description box and also give you the timestamps that are the most relevant so that you don't have to find them yourself. So yeah, here's the clip in question.
Mr. Dick and Balls says, "Hey Jack."
See, that's what she does. She does this.
So when Jack got like super incensed, mad with her, for 10 minutes. The last time I talked about this on Nightcap, we watched like the entire like 15 minutes leading up to this. All they talk about is how she does not pre-read super chats and reads crazy shit constantly. That's what they talk about it incessantly. They bring it up again right before, and still Jack assumed ill intent.
Like she reads it like that's normal. Like it's not even. She's not even saying, "I'm not gonna skip the name." She just goes, "Mr. Dukenball said."
Could you please clear up the Cuck article you wrote?
I am not going to talk about
Again?
this.
Okay.
And basically, you know what? Fuck you for bringing this up right here and right now.
Me?
Why are
Why
you
do
doing
you do
this
this
to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of fucking
Common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Elizabeth
Heartfelt.
Elizabeth Harrison says, gonna miss
I have seen that goddamn clip so many times in the past week and a half.
the show, but have a good break. IHTAC, what's that?
It's like Elijah pretending like he didn't acknowledge it because they tried to pretend like, oh, we thought he was talking to the super chatter. That's what we thought he was directing his ire at. Like, you guys are such liars. I know you're trying to be professional, but come on.
What?
Nothing. I literally was just coughing. It's just an inconvenient cough.
So since this incident, a couple of things have happened. And while I initially had decided that I wasn't really going to comment publicly or say anything about it, just sort of let it run its course, some things have been said that I think misrepresent me and my actions, and I would like to clear those things up. A general rule of thumb with me is that I don't really like participating in drama, particularly when it comes to...
She is cute, but she looks like my auntie, Maverick says. Oh, well, you're sick, buddy. You're sick.
Other content creators or commentators or whoever, simply because I really think it just detracts from what I do, which is to make content that hopefully can expose people to new ideas or change their mind, or, you know, in the really long run, promote right-wing values and hopefully in some capacity be able to change the direction of the country that I live in. But when people say things about me or about a situation that I'm involved in that are blatantly untrue, or things that paint me in a really unreasonable light, without defending myself or giving me a platform to come back at you and set the record straight, that is the point where I feel like now I need to say something. And that's what we're going to do now. So Jack Murphy went on Tim Pool's Timcast IRL a couple days after the incident happened with me on You Are Here. And due to the volume of comments and super chats and questions about what had happened between us, they addressed it on the show.
Well, people are mad at you for yelling it.
They're like, oh, we can talk about that. Yeah, for sure.
I think they're using.
I like how they're like, oh yeah, we can talk about that. Of course, people are super chatting about it. That's one of the reasons he's there. He wants to do a little damage control, which is understandable. But come on now. Hagbert says she's going to get on her kangaroo and fuck John Goldman up.
A lot of people don't like the article. A lot of people are using that because they're mad at you, but I think the anger comes from you yelling at Sydney.
Right. So here's what happened with Sydney. So I'm sitting on the show and we're talking and they're joking about reading super chats where people are building like gas chambers and she's reading out loud like, how did I build this gas chamber that didn't kill all the Jews that I was supposed to kill? Right. It's like insane, the super chats that she reads. And so I'm telling
this guy has been on the internet for fucking 10 years. And he's just like, wow, what people write is crazy. Can you believe the super chats they were getting? Like, where have you been, man? You're also on Timcast all the time. This is pretty normal shit. Oh my God, my waifu. I had to go tug one out with all that piss talk. Hey, me too. I did it like a hummingbird, though. Nobody could tell.
Telling her this whole time, I'm like, hey, you might want to read all the super chats before you read them out loud, right? A little bit of a warning. And then she asked me the question about the article. And I answered it politely. I deflected. I was like, that's not me. It's 180 degrees from whatever that article says. And
Maverick says, I dropped into Timcast for 5 minutes 2 hours ago. The chat is 70% raging against John and Jack. Yeah, it's been like that for, I think, the past few days, if I'm not mistaken. It's even when they have subscribers or members only on, same thing. All the super chats, everything. Tarami says, would you believe people say crazy shit online? Can you believe it? You can't look at that face. This is the face of a naive, innocent man.
Really rather not talk about it anymore. And then a couple minutes later, she literally asked me the same question all over again. And I cursed at her. I shouldn't have cursed at her. And I apologized, Sydney. I apologized to her that day and that night and the next day. And she accepted my apology. So I don't know why everybody's still butthurt. But I shouldn't have cursed at her. I should have just used amused mastery. And just like laughed at her. And
I love this is the way he like interacts with the world. He's like, I should have just used this thing I read in a self-help book, one of these Alpha Chad books, the Amused Mastery. I should have used the art of amused mastery. Why don't you just say like, I should have kept my cool. I shouldn't have lost my temper. Those are also valid ways of saying things. I should have laughed it off. You could say, no. I should have used amused mastery. I fucking cannot stand this shit.
Dismissed her, but I didn't because I had set a boundary and she crossed it. And that's part of being a man too, is saying, here's my boundary, please don't cross it. And then she crossed it, and I told her that I didn't like it.
He's like, I was really high on niacin. I had taken a lot of niacin that day, and I was in a rage. I was in a way.
Did I use the right words? No. Should I have cursed at her? No. And did I apologize to her for that? Yes. Did she apologize to me for putting me in a bad spot? Yes. Did Elijah? Yes. Did Elijah and I go out for dinner and drinks afterwards? Yes. Has Sydney and I talked afterwards? Yes. So I don't understand why everybody's so white knighting, simping for her. She can stand up for herself. It's resolved. And in my mind, it's done. And to me, this is such a nothing burger in my life. I am so focused on so many other bigger, more important things that people chipping and chirping away at me at this are just so annoying.
It is true that Jack reached out and apologized to me.
It's so annoying. Trami says, it's interesting how he tries to imply that he would have acted like this 99 out of 100 times. Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, this is just the one that got away. That one moment. What should you have done with Jeremy from the quartering? Fuck you. Trami says, but it's probably the other way around. Yeah, no, it seems like he has some control issues, I would say, right? That's kind of what we learned from listening to those other podcasts. That's why that context is so important, to kind of understand the subtext of what's been happening the past couple weeks.
It's also true that he and Elijah caught up for drinks so that Elijah could better explain what had happened and potentially resolve the situation.
Also, he and Elijah went out for drinks. He and Elijah went out for drinks. He had to go out with a dude and have a dude go calm him down. Look at this sweet, perfect angel. A solid 8.5 out of 10. What the hell?
Again, I think it's important to note, and I want to stress this, that Jack thought that I was acting out of maliciousness, which again, I don't want to put words in his mouth because I don't know what was said. This is just what was told to me. He thought
Yeah,
that
so they never actually really talked other than him like sending her a message, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they didn't talk. So she's getting all of this information secondhand because Jack didn't want to talk to her because Jack's a pussy. Jack is not alpha. I'm not sure Elijah has nuts. I don't know, man. I don't know if I could have, if you would just sit there. I guess, I don't know. You're trying to be professional. You're trying to put on a show. I get part of that. Like, you got to just move on and try to deal with it after the fact. But it's just like, what the fuck? Prophet says, how long do you think it would take this guy to break a beef? What, 45 minutes, an hour? Laughing my ass off, shaking my damn head. Straight up says, a literal cuck complaining about white knights for Sydney. That's some epic Sigma energy.
that I was doing it deliberately, that I was trying to dredge things up and potentially embarrass him when that's obviously not the case. And I just don't operate like that. That's not what I do. I also want to highlight that at no point, not during the show, not before the show, not at any point in the entire time that I have known Jack, has it been told to me that A, this topic existed and this article in question existed, and B, that it was something that was off limits that we couldn't talk about.
No one knew that it existed. Well, not nobody. There are elements of the MGTOW manosphere they definitely knew. And actually, I'll try to find it. There is a clip of the guys that raided the You Are Here chat. They were live on a stream and they sent all their guys to the chat to go spam about the Cuck article. Because there's this whole subculture of MGTOW manosphere people that really hate a lot of these guys, like the Jack Murphys and the Mike Cernoviches. Like, they cannot fucking stand them. And that's all they do is just roast them and try to fuck with them on live streams and stuff like that. It's mildly entertaining, I suppose. Trauma says, Jack, you were on a fucking podcast after a controversial article. You should be prepared for weird questions. Well, the article, in fairness, the article is about 5 years old, the one that got brought up. So he probably didn't see it totally coming because, like I said, and we'll check it out right after this video, people went there with the explicit purpose of trying to get them to mention the Cuck article.
That was not stipulated. That was not brought up to any of us, not to me, not to Elijah, not to Brandon. This was not something that any of us knew about. So when these questions started cropping up, this was all new information to me. Jack said on Tim Pool that he made it very clear that he didn't want to talk about the article in question, and that he made that expressly clear to us, and we brought it up anyway. Here's a clip of him saying that.
A lot of the people, a lot of the super chats we got about, you know, the Sydney and Elijah thing are people genuinely being like, I don't understand what that was. What happened? What happened?
With Sydney.
Yeah, they were like, what happened with that? What happened? But we addressed it.
Well, yeah, you know, when the people clipped it, where all they see is me saying, you know, cursing at her, but they didn't see the whole thing where I was like, let's not talk about that after I've addressed it. And then
So when I first listened to this thing, right, like the only thing I had seen was like that little clipped out thing of him freaking out. And then because just you know, just like everybody else, right, like I'm a little bit of an internet drama whore. This is my reality television to a certain degree. Like I was like, oh, he's going to be on Timcast. I bet they'll talk about it. So I tuned in. So I was like, oh, maybe there was something I missed. So I went back. You know, when I did it on the last nightcap, I went back, listened to the whole thing. It doesn't actually make it any better. Travis says, yes, but again, have you been on the internet, Jack? It's a series of tubes, hard to explain. Cool. So Jack's lied about everything, or just almost everything. Guilty. I don't know if it's like it's not necessarily a complete lie. It's kind of skewing the reality. It's trying to control the perception of what happened. I guess maybe he just hopes that people won't go back and look, or that's just his takeaway. That's just his genuine takeaway from it. Trauma says, can we get Sean on Sydney's show? Oh yeah, they'd love me there. Well, my 439 subs. Oh yeah.
And she brought it up again.
However, this was not
Who
said
I appreciate and love every single one of them, by the way. Thank you all for being here.
to us at any point during the You Are Here episode. Here is a clip of that for you.
Because you guys are the advertisers. That's why we try to get through all of these and read all your
All right,
comments.
I got a few
Even
more.
if you're trapping me. No, I want to read this one first. Because I started it, I'm going to finish what I started. Anamorphosis says, Elijah, and I apologize for this in advance, Jack, asked
boy.
Murphy about the article he wrote about literally cuckolding his wife. I wish I was joking. True alpha.
Wow. Wow, you went there with that.
All right. I Nightmares. Make it 440. Just subbed today. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it, dude.
I have absolutely no comment on that other than to say that whatever people's perception is about that, it's 180 degrees wrong. And it has nothing to do with people think what they're thinking it to be today.
Are we talking about sex right now?
Do you know what cuckolding is?
I totally thought
It's
you were
where
reading...
you get a chicken and you hold it. And
No,
you love it.
I just blanked
and
out
then
for a second.
You make more chickens.
I just blanked out for a second.
I support you having chickens.
We
I
don't
have
kink
chickens.
shame.
I like chickens.
If you have a hen house, that's great. That's you should have your own eggs.
Now, somebody put together on Twitter this thing. They're mentioning all of these things like trans, gay, hen houses. His girlfriend goes by the online tag red hen. They're like, maybe he thought he was being gaslit. Travis says, I'll be in super chats asking why, in hindsight, support the Rwandan genocides. Maverick says, but he said he apologized to her. She said he just told her to get effed. He said he warned them not to read the super chats. She said he didn't. Those sorts of things. Yeah, he's kind of mixing things up, right? Moving things around. And he obviously didn't actually apologize to her in person.
Great.
We don't kink shame.
Great for protein.
You Are Here does not kink shame. I want to bring that out, that we do not kink shame. If you hate women, don't want to have any sex at all, that's your lifestyle. Or if you're a nude model, that's your lifestyle.
You can in fact be you can be both at the same time.
Or if you want to sleep with trans Elijah, Ellie Schaefer.
Literally,
if you want to breed
if
him,
you want to have
that's
sex with
okay.
my ankles, maybe. Kez might allow it.
Something to note here too
Oh, Jack would. As we've come to find out, Jack totally would.
is that Elijah and I read all of our super chats. It's the one thing that we do on the show, I think it makes a lot of our viewers really happy. I really get a laugh out of reading them, and we read all of them, even if they're mean, even if they're funny, even if they're very loving and kind. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we like engaging with the audience. And so anybody who comes on the show.
Prophet's smitten. He's in love. I love how the atmosphere in the room drops so hard, and they both go on mumble tirades, and hers is about raising your own eggs and having chickens. She tried to kind of bring it to an innocent place. Tried to like kind of deflate it, take the wind out of the awkwardness. And that Elijah dude and the dude at the control booth or whatever, they just not pros. Like Sydney's a pro.
Should know in some capacity that we will be reading the super chats. Now, Jack makes mention in the Tim Pool episode that he highlighted to me that I should be reading ahead or reading the super chats before I read them out loud. Now, again, if he was saying that in reference to the fact that he wanted me to avoid super chats about this article and about cucking, then that wasn't made clear to me. That was not something that I picked up on at the time. That was not something that I knew he wanted me to do. I'm not a mind reader. I also want to highlight too that you guys are sneaky, and the way that you often get me to say really messed up stuff is by writing things in a way that when it's read phonetically sounds like something totally different. So I will actually note that because the super chats and comments on YouTube do restrict some words, the way that some of these super chats were written and spelled was not immediately clear to me as I was reading them. Now, you can argue that's because I am a giant dum-dum, and you might be correct. I don't know. What I will say is that as I'm reading them, trying to get through them, trying to make sure that everyone is acknowledged and their comments are read, sometimes I don't put two and two together.
Hagbard says they're scared of Jack's Ashkenazi brain and Viking body. Yeah, it sent Elijah and the control booth guy. They were just like apoplectic. They just didn't know what to do. Trauma says you should have known, Sydney, because everyone knows about everything Jack's been up in. That's just his alphaness. Do your homework, girl.
With what I am reading, which Jack referenced again on the Tim Pool episode.
So I'm sitting on the show and we're talking and they're joking about reading super chats where people are building like gas chambers and she's reading out loud like, how did I build this gas chamber that didn't kill all the Jews that I was supposed to kill, right? It's like insane, the super chats that she reads.
However, Elijah actually explained it like this.
Full on Holocaust denial super chats, and she reads it so innocently. And it's like, and it's always something that's like, it's a horrible, and I'm listening, just laughing. Like she'll be like, how is it then that if like,
are we gonna do the ovens and the cookies?
Yeah,
no.
She'll read read something so innocently. She'll be like,
we'll get there.
But they're so good and get her. They'll be like, I love carpentry and building things, and I built a wood door for my shower, but the steam still got out while I was showering. How could wood keep steam in the shower and keep the gases in? And she'll read it. And she's like, I don't know. I maybe like she'll like respond. Maybe get like a different type of a glass door, and she just like moves on, and I'm just like.
I do want to add here that the shower thing has only maybe happened a handful of times because I am getting better. I see them beforehand, and
it's just like it's all just part of the show. It's just all part of the joke, and he knew that. He understood that. So when he like took it of like personal offense to it, that's what makes it so weird. And the fact that he can't even like cop to that is even weirder. Maverick says this is all a lie from Jack. He's such a liar. Told you. Don't believe strangers on the internet. Not me, not Jack, not nobody. Hagbard says ultra instinct cuckold aura.
And I know, but also too, something worth mentioning is that I just don't hang out on these parts of the internet. So when people make these comments or they say these things, it goes right over my head. Half the time, the jokes on the show go right over my head. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not clued in.
Trami says, I respect just reading the super chats as they are. Yeah, and it becomes part of the show. You can have fun with the edgy side of the internet still if you want to. It's just they're jokes. I mean, sure, maybe some people are more serious than others, but in a meta sense, them reading the super chats is part of the show. It's part of the comedy. Like, how awful will they be? Like, and I'm sure that's another thing that their viewers kind of understand and probably double down and kind of purposely try to be edgy. It's like, it's so painfully obvious, like what the deal is. And I feel like Jack, I mean, you know, he's an older guy, but I feel like that's just willful ignorance. That pause screen. Ayo. Sorry, Sydney.
So I'll say here that reading super chats about cuckolding and cucking one's partner just seemed like regular trolling to me, and I did not know what they were in reference to. I also apologized in advance in this next clip to Jack before I read the first super chat in this situation because of its content. You know, Elijah and I put up with a lot of trolling and a lot of, you know, silly inside jokes and things like that, but not everyone is prepared for that. So I wanted to basically highlight that what was coming might be weird or uncomfortable. Again, I did that because I thought it was trolling, not because I knew of the context behind it. As you can see, he responded fairly well in good humor. There was no context given to us at this point. I want to highlight as well, again, that he didn't say that this was a topic that was off limits, that he didn't want to talk about. There were no boundaries set, as he likes to say. Elijah and I made some jokes and we moved on.
It's so hilarious that all of this spiral, all of this has happened from like the most fucking autistic thing that's happened in the past year on the internet. Like having to get into this minute detail of this situation is preposterous. It's preposterous. But look at the harvest. Look at the corn harvest. God damn. God damn. What a way to end the year.
Someone then asked a second time, and the incident occurred. I was obviously very confused. I initially did not know if the anger was being directed at me or the super chatter. I initially thought it was the super chatter. And then I realized the anger was being directed at me, the swearing was being directed at me, and I was just sort of like, what? I've seen a couple people say that they wish that I had been more assertive in the moment, but like, guys, at the time, I was really shocked because I had not expected that. I didn't know what was going on. I was very confused. And then when I cottoned on to what was happening, my initial thought was, okay, don't understand this, not entirely sure what's happening here. Best to finish the show and then deal with this privately. When the show did end, Jack got up. I made an attempt to apologize or to at least ask what had happened and what had made him react that way. He told me to go fuck myself, or he either said go fuck yourself or he said fuck you.
And look at him. He's just like, whoa. Alpha, dude. Trami says a combined thousands of hours have been spent on someone making a joke that a specific person took badly, which, you know, is par for the course for the internet. This usually happens like once a year. Something like this will happen and it will spiral out like this. This used to be like Mr. Medicare's bread and butter. If you know who Mr. Medicare is, this is what he would do. You can become involved in it and sometimes create it. Matt Jarbo. Look up Matt Jarbo and Boulder sometime.
You again, I can't remember which. And then he left. At that point, Elijah went to go and talk to him to see if the situation might be resolved, and that is when they went to go and get drinks. Jack then apologized the next day. We had a conversation about it where we came to the understanding that the situation was just a unfortunate misunderstanding.
Straight up says, just extend an olive branch, Sydney, and turn your face into a toilet. Then he would love her. He would love her. Take her home. She could take care of his kids. She could be the what is it? The brown hen.
Understanding, and it just seemed done and dusted at that point. I said to him that I wasn't going to make a big song and dance about it. I didn't have any intention of commenting or making things worse or doing anything that might exacerbate the situation because, again, guys, I hate drama. I don't want to be involved in drama. It's not helpful. It seemed as though he thought that I was doing all of this to embarrass him, which you guys obviously know is not the case, and I've already stated that. And I also want to say here, too, that we have had so many guests on the show so far in the short time that it's been running, and not once have I ever gone out of my way to denigrate or embarrass somebody just for the sake of doing it.
Maverick says, she's about 15 years too old, Sean. That's true. That's true. What is she like? She's got to be what, like probably 28, something like that. Probably in her late 20s, early 30s at the oldest.
Doing it. And I will note too that I've been sat opposite people that I really don't like as people. And I've been sat opposite people whose ideas really, really rub me the wrong way, whose ideas I never ever want instituted in any capacity because I think that they're corrosive. And yet in those situations, not once have I attacked them or embarrassed them or gone out of my way to be hurtful and unkind to them, because that is not the kind of show that we run. That is not the kind of person that I am, and that's certainly not the kind of person that Elijah is either. At no point during our show was I trying to trap him or judge up his past. I mean, obviously, he successfully did that himself. So naturally, when I watched the Tim Pool episode, I was just really disappointed. The way it appeared, at least to me, was that blame was being shifted. And in addition to that, to help that blame shift, lies were being told. I'll extend to everyone a courtesy that was not extended to me and assume, at least for now, that Tim and his crew were operating from a place of resolution, not wanting to.
Maverick says 250693. So yeah, she's about 28, right? Yeah, about 28. Pulled that from my own files. You sly dog. Everybody's in love with Sydney. Jeez.
To exacerbate the issue, just wanting to briefly discuss the drama and then move on from it. And for Jack, I will extend him the courtesy of assuming that he was purely mistaken in what he was saying and did not realize that he had not, in fact, set boundaries and that he had not, in fact, said that this was a topic that he did not want to discuss. As you can clearly see, he never said that. I really don't appreciate being made to look like I operate in a malicious way or go out of my way to do things to people that are unkind, that will trap them and ultimately embarrass them. And I don't like those claims being made without any pushback. I also don't like that people who are upset about the situation are being labeled white knights and simps because they expect that there should be a certain level of decorum exchanged between people who say that they are operating in the best interest of men and trying to be role models for those men. Whether that be defending your friends, staying calm and collected in the face of adversity, resolving conflicts, and so on. Personally, I don't think that not wanting me to be sworn at and yelled at in the face of a genuinely honest mistake constitutes as white knighting and simping. What I find interesting—
I don't think it's white knighting and simping. I think that's fair. But I also think the fact that she's a woman is a big part of why this blew up the way it did. It's a big part of why, because this shit happens to people constantly, all the time. And this is not what this is not what comes of it. Tarami says, certainly not the kind of person Elijah is. Have you seen his cuckness?
Interesting too was how Jack on the Temple episode was very much able to answer questions about why he wrote the articles in question, why he said what he said in a way that was respectful and reasonable. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, I think most people would have been understanding of what he had to say. Whereas when it was asked on our show, the response was a complete 180. On a human level, and maybe my view here might disappoint some of you, I try to extend to people the understanding of knowing that you're just a human being and sometimes human beings get it wrong. Sometimes our responses to things are not what we hoped that they would be. Sometimes we do and say things that kind of suck and that are sucky for other people and that put other people on the receiving end of crap that they might not otherwise have been exposed to if we just thought for a second longer or pulled ourselves back from the precipice before we did and said what we did and said. And so initially I completely and utterly had that feeling towards Jack where I was like, yeah, look, okay, I get it. It's not my favorite to be yelled at and sworn at for sure, but I also understand that, you know, Jack is a human being, and if something is coming up that really strikes a nerve and really hurts you or makes you feel something exceedingly negative, yeah, you might lash out. Fair enough, cool. Okay, it's not appropriate, shouldn't happen, but, you know, he's a human being. But again, like I said, I will extend a courtesy of giving the benefit of the doubt as to just be a decent person. In the event of these things happening, when you—
Like, this is all Jack had to do to resolve this, is basically to do a version of what he did on Timcast, which is like come clean and talk about how that has been part of his journey. Part of his journey to alphaness, to his newfound masculinity, his newfound way of life. He had to go through that. He was confused. He felt dejected, emasculated by his previous relationships. And teach people how hollow and shitty and unsatisfying those things ultimately are, which I don't think he didn't say that because that's not what he actually believes. And I think like you listening to those podcasts and stuff, those little clips, like those things are not that old. They're a couple years ago. And now I'm not saying people can't change. People do change. They do 100%. But when you're older and you have those kind of opinions, those kind of predilections, I don't know if it's not like a fucking light switch. You're not going to be able to just turn it off. And that's what makes like his new persona seem disingenuous, I guess. Trami says, yeah, they might have defended her for valid reasons, but maybe incidentally because they were simping. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to. I think that's. I don't like. That's what I mean. I don't think it's like white knight or simping per se, because I think those terms get kind of thrown around. They're pretty they're pretty loaded. They're broad. They're not really used appropriately anymore. It's just more like colloquial. It's like a slang term now. But I do think because it's a woman that people kind of came to her defense. Maverick says, "Oh my God, that screen." Pro says he should have just immediately came out with T-shirts that says fuck you, heartfelt." That probably would have worked. That if he leaned into it from the other direction, just went full fucking like alpha, MGTOW, whatever, that probably would have worked for him too.
You throw someone under the bus, as I feel has happened in this case, then, I don't know. I guess my empathy for the situation or, me trying to be understanding might dissipate somewhat. I know, too, that people have been looking much more deeply into Jack himself and his past and his writings and what have you.
Well, you
and
could say that.
Again, this would disappoint some of you. I don't feel currently equipped to discuss that or equipped to say anything about it. However, other creators have said things about it, like The Quartering, Jeremy from The Quartering, for example. But I do believe in large part that this is something that Jack has to address himself and get to the bottom of himself, as he did so on Temple. I know that many of you are very concerned, and many of you have been sending me things and videos and articles and what have you. And I want you guys to know that I have seen them. And I know that many of you who've been here for a really long time probably know how I feel about them and how I reacted to them. And I hope that you'll understand that in this particular video, this is not the time for like a takedown type situation. Not that I do that, but you know what I mean? It's not the time for it. I wanted to clear the air.
Yeah, we're going to wait until we're live on air on January 3rd. Although I don't know if they're still doing that because this is from a few days ago, but because Jack was reaching out privately to a bunch of people, like begging them to stop talking about it, basically.
About things that were said about me personally and not bring in extraneous factors. But like I said, if you guys want to watch content about it or find out more, you can watch the Quarterings video, or there's lots of people posting about it on Twitter. So there you go. There's the situation from top to.
All right. So is she going to say they're going to talk about it more on January 3rd, which I think is this coming Monday? But I found something, and I happened to stumble upon this. I had never heard of this channel before the other night. It's called Undead Chronic 14. I don't know if anybody here is familiar with that, but these are the guys that rated the You Are Here chat. Straight up says Jack should also make the Calvin pissing stickers with his face on it. Yeah, pissing on his girlfriend. Okay.
Man, the Man Mechanic says Jack Murphy is live on the You Are Here Sydney Watson show. Oh, wait, what? Wait a second. Wait a second. Let me see how many viewers. Let me see how fast the chat is, because maybe we can do a raid. Oh, they're live in 6 minutes. Manic, do we need to rate it? God, what do you think, guys? Do we rate it? Calling Jack Murphy equal cuck? What should we say to rate it? Here, we got to plan this raid, guys.
All right, well, they're about to raid. I just want to bring to your attention here. There's this little thing here. I don't know if you guys can. Yeah, you can see it. No hymen, no ring. Spread the word. Hashtag no hymen, no diamond. Hashtag pop cherry, don't marry. Oh my God.
We got to plan this here. Let me finish this. Shout out to Manic the Manic Mechanic with great gaming content and the intel for the future raids. So David Koff says, I don't know Jack about Jack. Don't worry. We're going to This is what I'm gonna spam. Everybody copy and paste. Everybody ready to copy and paste. Jack equals confirmed cuck. Right? Here, I'll copy and paste it for you guys in the chat. Now, everybody spam it in the chat and let's practice here. Practice your control V's, guys. Come on. Gotta practice in my chat. I gotta see some Brutus here practicing. Copy and paste. Get ready, boys. Are you ready? I need to see some training here. Chronic's out in the backyard, guys. I'm out back. I'm like teaching you how to swing a sword. Come on. Let's see it. Okay, before I go in, I'm gonna give you some motivation. Okay. Woman! Assemble! God! Get that cuck! Come on, let's go! Get him, motherfucker cuck! Jack Murphy is a cuck. Oh, they got slow mode on. Keep spamming. Keep it going. Oh,
I have to pause this because he's using footage from Berserk.
man, this is real slow. All these bitches. Come on. Let's send 3. We'll send 3. Yeah, we'll send 3, then we'll bounce. Oh my gosh. Oh,
So yeah, that's what happened.
yes. This is glorious. Chat.
Ask Murphy about the article he wrote about literally cuckolding his wife. I wish I was joking. True alpha.
Wow. Wow, you went there with that. I have absolutely no comment on that other than to say that what
Maverick says, that guy sounds way more alpha than Jack. Well, yeah. Well, I think they brand themselves as like the Giga Chads, like the real Giga Chads. Like these guys are phonies. These are con men. These are salesmen. Those guys, they Giga Chad for the love of it. For the love of it.
whatever people's perception is about that, it's 180 degrees wrong. And it has nothing to do with people think what they're thinking it to be today.
Could you please clear up the Cuck article you wrote?
I am not going to talk about
Again?
this.
Okay.
And basically, you know what? Fuck you for bringing this up right here and right now. Why are you doing this to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Jack is a confirmed cuck. Oh, cuck boy! Oh, the cuck boy! Oh, Jack is confirmed cuck. Oh, Jack is afraid of undead chronic. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is like someone's Twitch rating. Jack is a confirmed cuck.
Like this made this guy's year, maybe his decade.
Oh my bro, you are making me so proud. Look, all I see is people calling him a cuck. You guys are making me so proud right now. So forever, this whole stream recording is going to be Jack is a confirmed cuck. Okay. Audience is triggered. Yeah, they're just cucks. I mean, look at these cucks, guys. They have nothing on us. Okay. Okay, back to the UCW show, guys. I had a lot of fun there.
So yeah, I guess they're watching wrestling together. Tromby says Jack definitely cares way too much to be cool. Well, it's you got to find that right balance. You can't let people know you care. Maverick says he walks like a twat. SNS. I'm not familiar with that abbreviation. Okay, so where do we go from there? So we did that. Okay, Viva Frey and Robert Barnes actually talked about this yesterday. I didn't know that they did. I just happened to kind of have it on while I was getting stuff ready for the stream, and I just kind of had it on in the background. And I haven't listened to the whole thing, so I don't know how long they talk about it, but we'll check it out. We'll see what they got to say
about this, except to say that I'm the Jack Murphy thing. And the quartering. I don't like anything that happened there. Robert, we haven't talked about this. I don't know anything about this, and I don't even know if you want to talk about this, but I'll just say my piece, and then I'm going to move on. And Robert, you can say your piece. I don't like anything about the situation. I think the quartering and Jeremy.
Trami says, God bless you for reading chat out loud. About 50% is being filtered right now. Is it really? Damn. Dude, I got to go. 4 a.m. here. Great show. Hey, Maverick, I'll talk to you later, buddy. Good night.
Jeremy is going to regret what he did, not in a cynical sense. I think he's going to feel bad for what he did, because I don't care if it was right or wrong, or if he did, Jack did these things in the past. It was more akin to.
So now what we're going to get is the mature adult perspective of people that are not terminally online. I mean, while they do a lot of stuff online, they do have like real jobs and shit. They're lawyers.
A public execution for no good reason, as opposed to any legitimate, going after Jack Murphy. Nobody's perfect, period. And everybody has some dirt, some bad things that they've done in the past, which they may have overcome, which they may have ignored, whatever. But Jack Murphy is not, let's just take an example, Justin Trudeau. Jack Murphy is not a politician who in today's day and age is saying, do the things don't do the things that I did do, and do the things that I'm guilty of, not doing myself. Jack, as far as I know, whether or not I agree with everything he said or done in the past, promotes a positive message today. And it's my same thing with Cernovich. For whatever his foibles in the past, he's promoting a positive message today. And so whether or not...
I think this shit is wildly naive. Yes, they are promoting a positive message today because that is how they have learned to subsist in like this new paradigm. Cernovich is another one of these shady fucking dudes. Shady fucking guys. I do not trust Mike Cernovich. I don't know why anybody would. And it's probably because I've just been aware of him for so long. Been aware of him since probably 2013, 2014, when he came back onto the scene. And he kind of grifted his way into the whole MAGA thing. And that's the same thing Jack Murphy did. And Jack Murphy, if you listen back to, or if you read his other articles, like especially the cucking one, he name drops like Mike Cernovich. So he was an acolyte. He was a follower of Mike Cernovich's. And this is like a business thing for them. Business by way of personality. And they're not to be trusted. Straight up says cucking is not positive. It's true.
One could do what Jeremy did. I don't know that one should have done what Jeremy did. Jack lashed out at what was it called? Yeah, fine. Okay, that's what that was. That's the extent of where it should have gone. Where it went to, I think, is public execution for show and not for necessity. And I think Jack has been. He promotes a good message today. That cucking article that he wrote, okay, fine. I know how I would read that if I'm not reading it like a federal crime, and that's how I read it. But again, you're eviscerating an individual who is, as far as I can tell, promoting a good message today for things they did 5 years ago and for reacting badly in real time. I think Jeremy will not feel good about what he did in the long run. Robert, do you want to add to anything of that?
I previously represented Jack in a separate context when he was targeted by Antifa-related groups because he'd spent a lot of time building up the charter schools for mostly poor African-American students in the District of Columbia. And then he was targeted by Antifa for his politics to run him out of that job, and ultimately was run out of that job. And wrote a book, From Democrat to Deplorable. I gave him some advice.
He was fired for writing the rape article that we read at the top of the show. That is why he was fired. Granted, I'm sure activist groups are the ones that brought that to light for sure. They probably sent it to his job and blah, blah, blah. So I'm sure so I guess like in some de facto sense that it was because of politics. Pop says, cucking can be positive. Like when your wife comes home from East St. Louis, HIV positive.
During that stage. And I mean, never developed in a litigation or anything else. So I'm kind of limited at saying anything beyond that. And I think the current controversy, I don't get how it has current bearing in the sense of I get it feels like drama. I know that, I know Jeremy at the courting, other people are like, well, I don't want to get, and he, to his credit, Jeremy said he doesn't want people canceled or anything else. He just is not a fan. That's fine, but I don't see the great grand significance of why what Jack Murphy wrote 6 years ago or what his personal life has any great bearing on the public agenda of today. So I'm sympathetic with your perspective on that.
But see, that's the thing. But like, he is a liar, like a grifter. Like his entire what he does, his public persona is built on this idea of alpha traditional man. That's why people are like being squirrely about it, I suppose you could say, because it makes him seem disingenuous. It makes him seem like a grifter. That's what it makes it seem like. Listen, I'm not even saying that's entirely fair. I don't know if it's entirely fair, to be honest with you. I can't look inside the heart of a man, but I can see the way he handles his business, and this would have went away. Granted, I mean, that's hindsight, I suppose. That's the outside looking in. It's easier to say that than it is maybe to live it. When you feel like the world is coming down on you, you might lash out, you know? Hagrid says Barn got a shit pushed in by Nick Fuentes on Alex Jones, Wonder Attorney. Actually, I think I remember that. I think I watched that.
That's, yeah. I think the what's her name? Star Wars girl. Yeah, she did an interesting little breakdown, and the Elijah Schaefer and the Blaze and Sydney Watson. I don't know. I know Elijah barely. I don't know Sydney Watson at all. It struck me as a lot of noise without what is it? Sound without fury, or what's the word? Something like that.
I don't know. All I know is that Jeremy did say, like he's been accused of being a drama chaser, and he admits to being that to some extent.
Yeah.
Fine, but you know what? And like,
See, they're kind of hedging their bets a little bit, trying to stay neutral, you know, because Jeremy is somewhat of a friend of theirs. I think Jeremy's even been on their program before, because Jeremy's got a ton of subs. I wonder if he thanks Sargon. Sargon did that, actually. Sargon is where he got his start.
I had Nick Ricada did a whole breakdown, but I mean, Nick needs filler for his nightly show, and daily show too. So he even put it that way, and I'm sure lots of people could have handled it differently in lots of respects. I don't have a dog in the fight, as they say, and not going to say much in general just because he was a former client.
Okay, and I didn't know that, and I probably wouldn't have asked, but thank you for letting us know. I just say, like, I read his book, and I had the discussion with him. I have my own personal perspective. I have my own thoughts about Jack as an individual. I like we said during the stream, I got the impression he was angry, but angry is not necessarily a bad thing. He promotes certain messages that I'm not into. Now, does that, then lend into a public, is the word evisceration, like a drawing and quartering of an individual to destroy everything that they have become? Whether or not you think they...
Hagrid says, and a plane. That's right. I guess Jeremy from the quartering has a plane. Prophet says, Catboy Cammy also got his shit pushed in by Nick Fuentes. Oh, yeah. That dude's a closeted homosexual. 1,000%.
Deserve it, whether or not you agree with their messages. It's not the drama I'm into, so that's where we'll leave it, people. We don't need filler, Robert. We need to get to the law stuffs, not the drama stuffs. Although there's some drama in this.
And nothing against Nick. Nick has fun with stuff and the rest. So nothing against anybody that.
He's like, we think what people are doing is really fucked up, but not our friends.
But I just don't see the broader social significance of somebody's personal life from a few years ago or 5 years ago or whenever it was. So
and
sounds like a man with secrets.
Just so that nobody calls us politically biased, this is far different than a president of a country with a very questionable history.
Yeah,
because
a true public figure. I mean, and if it, and I think some of the discussion.
Hagrid says not true. Nick's a power bottom. Oh, I love that it's always Sunny in Philadelphia thing. Where it's like what it means to be a power bottom. Oh, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's really, my memory tells me it was funny.
And conversations, I think that there wasn't a charitable approach maybe by a lot of different people involved in the matter, but it just struck me as it's like, why should I care so much about this? It wasn't self-evident to me why I should.
And I say the more gruesome the public execution, the more justified the crime has to be. Running for president. If you have skeletons in your closet that Jack has, okay, fine. Maybe then it becomes a matter of.
Yes, that's right. He gives back. He generates a massive amount of power from the bottom. Never be a twank.
Public interest, but to destroy someone for the sake of destroying them, when what they're doing now, by and large, seems to be putting out a good message for people to follow, to better themselves, whether or not you even agree with that message.
Sure,
you might be destroying that which need not be destroyed just for the sake of internet drama. Speaking of drama,
Oh, there you go. There's that. Prof says, enough of these charlatans. I want to see Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer, react to Jack's self-snitching. Did he Didn't his video get pulled down though? Whose pole I smoke? Matt from Tinder. Let me see. Bruce Rivers. Jack was going on a tear today, DMCAing people. So I don't know if the video is still there. I don't know if Jack Rivers is the one, if he covered it, but no. If it was there, it's gone. What a bitch. What a bitch. Let me see here. We got a little clip from the quartering here. We're just gonna watch a little part of this clip. It's him. He got an inside scoop on some of the people that are inside the liminal order, which is Jack's group. And they spilled some beans, I think. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Luminal order. This is a comment from somebody who is in the luminal order. Quote, "You can see what they advertise on the website, but in reality, it's a forum and a private chat in Wicker, which is like Slack. There are discussions on masculinity and sense making, but those are every couple of months. Most of the events made by individual members are not centralized to the luminal order. In other words, people just meet each other and decide to have a hangout or event. The luminal order has a few guys who make products," and then they name, I'm not going to name this person, "and sell it to the luminal order members. I think that's kind of scummy because they charge $700 a year and you just end up getting sold a $500 class on philosophy. There's a central boys."
This is what I was talking about at the top of the show, the liminal order stuff. It's full of other people that are grifting, other salesmen. And they sell classes and philosophy stuff and self-help stuff. And it's just all part of this cycle. This like system, this weird little self-help system. And everybody's making money except the people that need help. Prophet says, I was joking if he did a video on it. That's Kino. I don't know if it was him. There was somebody else. Like there's a bunch of people that did videos, but I know that he did flag one of them. It might have been that guy. I'm not sure though.
Club in LO that does a lot of selling to LO members. I think they see it as an opportunity to make money. Jack Murphy has had several blowups on members of the LO. He called a guy a fat A and kicked him from the organization for saying Jack was cowardly for getting the poke. There was the Jacked Brunch event, which costs money, as well as Suits and Steaks event the night before. Suits and Steaks cost $250 per person. There are fitness standards, but no one enforces it. There are attempts at bigger things, but those are member-driven and mostly just hype. They get forgotten as fast as they come up. He writes, I left because it's a men's organization that doesn't get past being a boy. They still look up to pickup artists and bro culture, but nary a word about how to be a good husband, father, or man. It's a lot of disaffected young guys and old divorced dudes.
And there you go. And that's often what you're going to find in these kinds of groups. That's usually what it is. Just lost people being taken advantage of to a certain extent. I mean, I guess at some point you're kind of asking for it, but still. Let me see here. So this is we'll watch a little bit of this video. This is about Jack going on his tear. Tarami says bitterness. Woo. Let me see here.
Everyone, Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I have been banned. That's right. Apparently, Mr. JM's War Room is working overtime, getting YouTube videos struck down, getting people's Twitter accounts suspended. And even though I extended an olive branch personally to Jack in private conversations, he decided to go forward and continue with his crusade against me for speaking truth. This weird lull suit that he thinks he's going to bring is doomed to fail, doomed to cost him tens, if not $100,000 plus in legal fees, in which he will have to share all of his personal information. He's going to have to share all of his private chats in his liminal order. It's going to be
everything that's not already out there.
Disaster. I said I was going to be done with this and leave it all alone, but apparently he's still working behind the scenes to, using his words, destroy me. Apparently, again, I don't hold anything against anyone against.
Oh, dude, he loves this shit. This quartering, dude, he loves it. He loves it. Look at his face. Like, he's not upset. He's not upset. He lives for this shit. He is a drama merchant. He really is.
In the liminal order, I'm sure they're in a weird spot. They're welcome here on the quartering. I appreciate you. But if you're big fans, he seems to be such a big fan of warfare. How about mech warfare? Check out this video sponsor. Huge shout out. Just had a pilot more. On top of that, together. So don't Twitter suspension. Indefinite Twitter suspension. I woke up and it said, we've temporarily limited your account features. Apparently, violating the rules against posting or sharing privately produced or distributed spicy media of someone without their express consent. Now, what this is, obviously, there's only one person that could have filed this. Interestingly enough, this is not privately distributed. This is publicly distributed. This was put out for, where this stuff was streamed, literally anybody on earth could watch it. It was on a website for this particular content. Mr. Jack himself admitted to producing these videos. I have that, of course. See, I've been through this whole legal stuff before. So I've been archiving everything since the beginning. And, this is public videos. He doesn't have any kind of claim to privacy. You put it out there to be consumed by the public. And, that was just in the public domain. I didn't unearth anything private. If it was something that had happened, somebody had hacked his account or something like that, I would have stood against that. I would have obviously been strongly against sharing that kind of stuff. But this is out there in the public domain. And according to him, he made thousands of dollars from this videos back in 2019. I wonder if the IRS knows about that. Certainly that'll come up if he thinks he wants to fool around in court with me. But yeah, so now
Egbert says, I look down at Jack Murphy from my wife piloted airplane.
I'm suspended off Twitter. You can also see this person, Cool Hand James, saying that JM got his YouTube channel struck down for making fun of him. Can't upload for a week if the appeal does not go through.
Oh, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for that to happen here. Because, mine's pretty explicit, like if you see the thumbnail. And I made the thumbnail and stuff right before I saw this. I'll appeal it. It's fair use. Should be fair game. It's commentary. I'm a commentary channel now. Come
on. That's interesting. Yet another. I know my videos have been flagged because people are keeping me in the loop. Here's the thing that Jack doesn't understand. There are many people in his liminal order who do not appreciate this, here's the thing, Jack, and I know you'll be watching this. Most of your people in the liminal order don't care about these videos, but what they don't like is this weird crusade. There's nothing more alpha, as you would probably try to say. If you're an alpha giga chad, as you call yourself or whatever.
This is all transformative parody, Hagbert says. I agree. We're having a laugh. We're reporting the news, having a good time.
There's nothing wrong with owning your past. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you doing those videos. But what the problem most of the people in the liminal order I've talked to have is this weird whinge fest where you're blaming everybody else for your own decisions. I didn't write that article about sending my wife off with Tom from Tinder or whatever his name was. I didn't write that article about, the R word and feminists, as you wrote those articles, you posted them publicly. I didn't film myself doing all the things that you did and publish it to the internet. You did those things. So I don't have any, I mean, you might be mad at me for signal boosting it, but these are all publicly available things that, quite frankly, nobody has any, and these things were all going to come out. They weren't locked under, safe and secure. And you see this. This is very interesting. This is from the liminal order. I was sent this screenshot as well. My tweet about Glenn Beck got everyone moving. The quartering has deleted tweets. This is after he came to me in private and asked me to do it. And I said I would be happy to, because I'm not a monster. Okay. I feel like, I said this yesterday. I feel like he's received enough backlash. And if people are sending stuff to his wife, that's not.
I mean, Jeremy's kind of being slightly disingenuous. This never happens. This doesn't blow up to this place unless Jeremy signal boosts it or whatever. Like, he leaves up his tweets for like a couple hours and then would delete them. But like, as far as like all the porn stuff, like Jeremy is the one who like blew that wide open. It probably doesn't really leave Kiwi Farms or get very far outside of Kiwi Farms if it's not for Jeremy here. So it's like, I could understand being pissed at Jeremy. I totally could.
Not okay. That's messed up. The internet takes everything too far all the time. I was happy to delete them. Then these come out. He's gloating about it after he came to me hat in hand asking me to do it. And, I have all these DMs, dude. And like, I'm not going to share them out until such point where I need to, but I'm asking you, Jack, to stop screwing around. And you see here, the You Are Here January 3rd piece is off. Elijah and Sydney are done with this. The quartering has deleted. And then we are still going to destroy him, though. Destroy me for what, Jack? This is the opposite of alpha male behavior, as you charge people $100 a month to teach. I didn't do any of these things. You did all these things. And now you think, what? You're going to strike me down off Twitter? Okay, fine. You're going to strike down YouTube videos? See, here's the difference between you going after random small YouTube channels and you going after mine. When you strike down my videos falsely, you're costing me significant money. Significant money I will recoup through legal means. I'm sure.
And Jeremy's lawyer is Bill Richmond, who's the half Asian lawyer from Steven Crowder, if I'm not mistaken. Brissinger says, oh no, he has the receipts. Oh, lots of people got receipts about Jack.
You've learned by now who legally represents me. This is not a good road to go down. You're actually pissing me off now. This went from something that was funny and a meme that everyone was ready to move on to these ops. Like, why don't you just write academics, please assemble? And then you see this. We need to collect all of this, then file a police report, then go to the Blaze legal department. First of all, what does the Blaze have anything to do with this? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And, all of these logs, by the way, of you coordinating flagging campaigns and all this kind of stuff in your liminal order, this is all going to get public, dude. And all of this looks very bad for you. There's a few random articles on most websites that most people haven't heard of. No disrespect to unheard.com or what's this other website? The American Conservative. Well, that may be more popular. I don't know. But this is ready to blow over and you continue to do this stuff. Now, I'm really hoping these messages that people are sending me are several days old. I don't have a timestamp on it. Of course, in court, I will discover when these messages were sent. However, this is not the way, dude. I'm telling you that I was 100% ready to let this go until you flagged down my Twitter account. And now this is why I don't show grace. A few people that I've
Brissinger says, oh man, they could try to bring down the Blaze with this. Not the Blaze.
Respect, reach out to me. and said like, this is all funny, but maybe show the guy some grace. And I agreed, much to the chagrin of my viewers. Many of them thought I was letting him off the hook for no reason. And sure enough, he throws it right back in my face and makes me feel like an idiot to do it. Because now immediately he's flagging down stuff. He's running these rainbow operations in his Wicker, his liminal order chat to flag down other people's videos. Dude, stop. I'm telling you that every day that you engage in all of this stuff and all this bad behavior adds 2, 3, 4 days of people wanting to hear about it and wanting to cover it. If you would just have taken 2 weeks off, a week off even, just a week, and not involved yourself in any of this, it would have already blown over mostly by now. Heck, it has. But now you're flagging people down. You got my Twitter account shut down. This is not okay. And the people here, the right cancels one of their own. Masculinity influencer has been brutally banished. I mean, I guess, I want you to, I don't want your life ruined. I don't want your business ruined. I've never told anyone to quit the liminal order. I've never told anyone to
Well, what was his intention though? He was like, you disrespected my friend. And even after the fact, because it was a couple days after that Jeremy catches wind of it and then blows it up. So what were your intentions? What were your intentions, Jeremy? He knows how this works. Come on. Hagbard says this is going to force Glenn back to the whiteboard. Is that what you want, Murphy?
subscribe from you. I've never told anyone to unfollow you on Twitter, but it appears all this behavior. See these 1,000 people Wednesday, 1,500 people unfollowing already today.
Brissinger says, "Oh yeah, big loss, guys." No, not really. I said a few times during this, I've never liked Jack Murphy. I've always thought he was shady, a little griftery. I think most of those guys that present themselves that way usually are.
By the way, I can see I've already archived all your tweets, so it doesn't matter how many you delete, but you deleted 9 tweets this day, 33 tweets this day, almost 200 tweets today. You're mass deleting tweets. You're doing all this damage control when you should just be chilling. Let it blow over. Get back to work. I promise you, Jack, that 80% of the people in your liminal order are happy to continue to pay you money. But what they don't want is this. They don't want to see you doing this. Hope you all enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Bring great shame to the order. Trami says they're lifestyle coaches. Yeah, they are. And they're most of them are pretty suspect. Pretty suspect. Not that we're into purity testing around here. I don't know. Can't stand motherfuckers that
Sure, of
act that way.
manliness.
Okay, so this is from the other night, maybe last night. Rekieta Law. He was Nick Rekieta shows the DMs of Jack trying to pressure him into deleting some tweets where he kind of lightly ribbed Jack Murphy, kind of just made fun of him a little bit, which Nick Rekieta is one to do. That's pretty on brand for Nick Rekieta. Trami says, and anyone who calls themselves a coach of anything should be viewed with extreme suspicion. I agree, especially if you walking around insisting that you're alpha, that you're a hard man, that you're tough. Usually you're not. Usually those are people that are just trying to compensate because they don't actually believe it. They're trying to convince themselves as much as they're trying to convince you.
That you then try to sell other men into. Because you're
all right. Hold on. Let's back it up a little bit because he shows the DMs here, and I am a fan of Nick Rekieta. I like Nick Rekieta. If there is like a good, decent man, like a trad man, it's probably Nick Rekieta. It's probably him. Let's see here.
Kit. By creating the liminal order, by being making money. Tweeting and making money is so great. Looking to make it a full-time gig. And then he does. He does it by creating the liminal order, by being a manvocate. by building up an alpha Chad persona rather than just being him.
There we go. Straight up says, where's Tony Robbins to chime in on this? I'd prefer it. Tarami says, I'd prefer it if Tim Robbins gave his opinion. Actually, I'd love to hear what Tim Robbins has to say. But like, yeah, you know, Susan, she cucked me, actually.
Rather than just being human. Right? See, he says, he opens up. I'm a man, which also means I'm human. Buddy, you're a man in the sense of the man creation that you've made. But you actually should have been a human from the start rather than a caricature of manliness that you then try to sell other men into. Because you're selling an image, you're not selling you. Right? And at this point, who would buy it? But you can't thrust yourself into public selling an image. That's a stained glass window, man. The moment a rock comes, it's going to shatter. You should always be you before an image that you project. I mean, unless you want something like this to possibly happen. If you have a squeaky clean past, sure. Project whatever you want. But how many of you had on your bingo card at the beginning of this year that you would see a picture of Jack Murphy with a dildo in his ass from his own chatterbait? That you would see Jack Murphy on a chatterbait. Why? He said to me something. Should we just do this? Should we do the DMs, guys? I know the answer you're going to give me. I know you bloodthirsty monsters. I know what you want.
That's kind of why I like Nick Ricada. He's just like a normal person. It's such such an anomaly on the internet. There's no artifice with him. He like is just a dude. He's just a guy. He's just a dad who likes to drink whiskey, talk about internet bullshit. He's a lawyer, likes to have fun. It's a really fun show if you guys have never watched it. And actually tonight he's gonna have like his like college best friend Drexel, who's a giant black guy who has in his past worked as a bull for cuckolds. And they're going to talk about Jack Murphy. He's an interesting cat, the Drexel dude. He has his own podcast like MGTOWN, I think, because Drexel's like MGTOWN. It's probably going to be a lot of fun. It starts like a half hour. So when we're done here, I would suggest go popping over there. That's where I'll be.
I know what you want. So let's just do it. Fuck it. We're doing it live. Let's just do it. And you can see this is, and you can make your own assessments on this. And I'm going to add my commentary to this, right? And so if you don't want to be tainted by what I say, just mute me. I'm mostly going to read the tweets, but I'll give you my commentary as we go. But if you want to be objective, just mute me and look at the tweets or whatever. That's fine. It might take a few minutes to get through them. But we're going to go start to finish. I'll scroll down through them. You can see everything there. And this is, I'll even go back to my first DM to him. When I asked him publicly, hey, Jack, would you like to come on my show and talk about stuff about parenting? And again, I mean, we would have a different show today. Believe me.
So the reason why he asked Jack if he wanted to go on and talk about parenting kind of in the era of COVID and with vaccine mandates and all this stuff, because Jack was on Timcast and he had a dilemma with his kids and the vaccines. And they had like a back and forth where Tim is just like a 35-year-old man child who has nothing but his business and his life, and he exposed himself for that. And I remember when I watched it, I was like totally on Jack's side. I think I watched it the last time I talked about this on Nightcap. I actually went back and watched it, and I tend to be on. I am empathetic to where Jack Murphy's position on this, and so is Nick Rekieta, it turns out. So that's why he asked him if he wanted to be on like a podcast. Tarami says he's a miniature painter, it looks like, by judging by the desk in the background. He has my vote. Yeah, he does Warhammer, I think.
Believe me, we would be having a different show if he wanted to come on today. So I'm very happy I did not do the parenting show here, because for as much as I supported what he said on Timcast in regards to the complications of parenting in the situation he was in, I don't know that I am down with the parenting wisdom he might bestow outside of that very limited scope. Okay. So we've got, hey, Jack, appreciate it. This is my follow-up DM, right? My show is every weeknight from 11 p.m. Central until 2 a.m. That's late for a lot of folks. I'd be happy to schedule around your availability. Give me some availability and we'll work something out. September 21st, right? This is the first thing I sent to him. Now, the response that I get comes on December 19th after I tweeted about his Sydney Watson, Elijah Schaefer thing. And he did not respond to me. This is okay. There was no malice or grudge in there. I want to just make sure everybody sees the thing. I often fail to get back to people, especially if you don't follow someone. Like Jack doesn't follow me on Twitter. So this sat in DM hell, and he probably never even saw it. He sat here. This is where DMs go to die. He probably never saw this thing until very recently when he went to search me out and messaged me on December 19th. You've never been blocked, bro. This is a bad look for trashing me in front of our many mutuals. You invited me on your show because you know I'm doing good work. You are perfect in your past. Come on. But if you want to be an internet rage merchant, go for it. 1, I'll correct that. Twitter was not showing me the messages. 2, I call things as I see them. If I'm wrong, happy to be corrected. I did. You invited me on your show. I did 3 months ago and you didn't respond, which is fine, but I assumed you weren't interested anymore. Also, I'm not perfect in my past, but shouldn't you clarify that it was an imperfect opinion rather than dodge it? Shouldn't you be correcting that in the face of men being told by other sources that is a good way to live? I'm not a rage merchant or whatever that is. People ask me about it on a live stream. It's a weird look. Rage merchants, right? No, it's not perfect in my past. It's not who I am now. In 2019, he's uploading videos to Chatterbait looking for couples. In 2019, he's tweeting about picking bitches with his wife for a threesome at a McDonald's. iPad is McDonald's, right? Is that the way? Is that the way?
See, that's the one of the things about all this. It's the proximity. This is like not stuff that's like 10, 15 years old. It's like 2 years ago. That's why people are like, huh?
Of the liminal order, that 2019 wasn't 2016.
Because that's the way he presented it. Like when he went to defend himself on Timcast, as we saw in the clips, right? He's like, it's something from years ago. I don't talk about it. It's not like part of my life. I changed, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't change in 2016. Maybe he did in 2020, which would be like perfectly coincide with him releasing a book and going on Timcast and all that stuff, you know? Travis says even more so, even 10 years ago, he was a fully grown man. Oh, that's kind of the crux of it, right? Like, how much do you really change when you're like 40 years old? How much of your mentality, the kind of things you're into, your predilections, your beliefs? I mean, fuck, man, the older you get, the more like a stone you become, the more harder you are to move and be convinced of other opinions and other ways to do things. It's hard. It's hard to change. It's not fucking easy. I'm 35. I can tell you, Like, it's fucking hard to change. It's hard to be better than yourself. It's hard to be the best you, right? Especially if you have certain things or temperament problems, etc., right? It's really hard to kind of rewire yourself and readjust. Tarami says it's not like a 25-year-old being called out for stuff he did in college. Exactly. It's not.
He's still living the lifestyle that he's advocating. I would assume he's advocating against it. Look, again, open relationships, swinging, polyamory. If you want to do that, do that. But know that is a path to destruction and hedonism that I think he advocates against. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't fucking subscribe to Jack Murphy's shit. I don't like buy his product. I'm not familiar with what he says. So here we go. Yeah, dude, I didn't reply because shit got busy and the time of the show is practically impossible for me. That's all it is. That's it. Look, this is probably a lie. It's a white lie. It doesn't hurt anybody. But this, there's almost no way. So he's going to say, here's what he's saying. Again, going back to this tweet, September 21st, 2021. This means he looked at the tweet, saw the time slot, and said it was almost impossible, which is why he didn't respond. But he could have just responded, even though it says clearly in there, I'd be happy to schedule around your availability. That's not all it is, though. You didn't reply probably because you didn't see it, and that's fine. But this makes it into a lie, an unnecessary lie. This is an unforced fucking error. And the time of the show is practically impossible for me. So
I mean, that's what, like, so much of this stuff go to character, right? To the character of Jack Murphy, how he comports himself, even stupid shit like that. Not necessary. You don't need to say something like that. You know? Trami says, you don't get it, man. He's fucking his side bitches in the same exact time slot. Impossible to replan.
You looked at it and you didn't respond? I mean, okay, I guess. That's weird, though.
Brissinger says, it's a beta lie.
Oh, and you just responded, yeah, the time slot doesn't work. I think it was unnecessary. I'm betting he never saw the DM, because how would he? And he's got to know that I know this. We've got a lot of mutuals that have a lot of respect for me. You trashing me is not a good look when they and you all know of the good work I do in bringing men together and helping them become better. Look at that shit.
And this is what gets Ricada, because Ricada don't give a fuck about mutuals. He does not care about that kind of stuff. Ricada does what Ricada wants to do, and you can either be part of it or not. He's not out there looking to make best friends with internet weirdos. And I love his response. Look at that shit.
That sex shit is 6 years old.
No, it's not.
That sex shit is 6 years old. What about the other sex shit, Jack? What about the other sex shit? Right? That stuff's not 6 years old. You ever heard me talk about anything remotely like that in years and years? To be fair, Jack, I've never heard you talk about anything other than the one clip I saw of you on Tim Pool. And I liked what you said. That's it. A lot of people were telling me this guy's cool. This guy's based. You should talk to him. This guy's Chad energy or whatever. You do what you want. I don't owe anyone an apology but Sydney. And that happened right away. The rest of this drama, people are farming for clicks.
Which we also know, as we've gone on through the night, that is not true. He had to go have dinner with Elijah, another dude, to calm down and get it worked out. He probably shot her a text, maybe called her the next morning. Tarami says, yeah, it's a reoccurring thing that Jack makes up or tries to massage what happened to save himself a tiny bit of face. It's not even worth it, right? Like, the front that he's putting up is not even worth it. It's not even fucking worth it. It doesn't actually make you look that much better. That's the craziest shit. That's the craziest thing about it. Like, he's like, in his new modern internet life, he has never been put in this kind of situation where he really had to kind of stand on principle or be a good man or whatever. He's never been challenged. This is his first challenge as an internet personality. And he is failing.
I met with all the guys in the liminal order. They know what's up. I have no duty to address people being assholes to me on Twitter. I don't disagree with anything in those messages. You have no obligation to do anything, but you did.
Prof says, stand up. Oh, shit. Sorry, wrong group chat.
Did write it, right? My opinion.
Trauma says, yeah, it isn't worth it if there's a chance people will call you out on it, and they fucking will. It's like, even if they weren't going to call you out on it, it's about your integrity as a person, as a man. Like, that's what we keep going back to this kind of theme, and it's something Ricada had kind of said at the beginning of this little section here, is that this is his brand. This is what he sells to people. And he ain't doing it. And it's a bad look for anybody that subscribes to what you're selling or that pays you to be in these chats. It's crazy. Jesse Lee doesn't start for 9 hours. You'll get there, buddy. I believe in you. I'll probably watch. Maybe I'll watch Jesse tomorrow. You know, get right with the Lord.
Is that such devastating advice for men that it merits a correction? It doesn't give you any obligation, but it gives me full license to deliver my opinion. If you even read it, I literally say in there, don't do it. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. We read that thing. We read that thing in the last nightcap. Also, you can head over to Generation Y. My buddy Mark from Generation Y. He clipped it out. Britsinger says Jesse Lee and Murphy. Actually, I would love to see Jesse Lee talk to Jack Murphy. Ask him about his relationship with his mother. Have you forgiven her, Jack, for what she did to you?
No, he does not. And I have never, ever once told people to do it. You build it as apex level sexuality.
Hey, now.
You said, don't do this unless you got your whole life locked down, unless you're ready to transcend to the level of unless you're ready to level up to that apex level. So there's no correction to be made. Sure. And I have years of content that is about family and love and God.
Years? So is he like futzing around while writing this content?
So there's a lot of talk on the interspheres, Weber spheres, whatever it is, about this mid 2020, I feel like it was, thing that we saw on the right. The Christ is King, right? Coming out of some weird places.
See, he's about to identify something that we've been talking about all night. The pivot. The grift. Prophet says, Jesse to Jack, so when your woman having sex with the other men and they love it on her and she's going crazy like 90 going north, is that alpha or beta?
All of a sudden, a bunch of people, they came out against pornography. Does Jack Murphy have any comments about pornography? Somebody out there. Because he's talking about family and love and God, right? But the Christ is King coming out of the hard right. We saw it from Nick Fuentes. We saw it from Ethan Ralph. We saw it from a bunch of other people. And they did, again, this anti-pornography thing. It felt like, I'm not saying it was coordinated, but it felt weirdly coordinated because it all came about at the same time. The reason I know about it is because Ralph asked me to come on the kill stream and debate pornography with someone else. Because I say pornography, for whatever it is protected speech. And this other guy said, no, it's not protected speech. So we went and I did the Coomer side of the debate and did that. But there was this big push on all this stuff. So that's but in 2019, I mean, this guy's making porn on, he's a chatterbait model. I mean, yeah, at least get the facts right. Oh, Jack. Oh, we're getting the facts right. We're going to have the facts right. Milo Yiannopoulos was doing it too. Yeah, Milo, he's going to go through conversion therapy. It was interesting to see that pop up. I said, I will get the facts right. What I saw didn't seem to suggest that, but I'll look again. I'm always willing to be corrected. By the way, you'll probably laugh at this, but the invite stands. I now do a daytime show when I'm not covering a trial, 1 p.m. Central Time. If you ever want to come talk tens to thousands of men from my audience, you're welcome. We could talk about this subject or any other. I'm open to correction and clarification, always have been and will be, but I'm not going to hound you on it or chase it down. Open door if you choose. Peace, man. Wasn't trying to stir shit, just offering an opinion consistent with my other opinions. I'll correct the blocking thing in a tweet. Of course, that's because that's on me. There you go. Simple, right? Okay, but people have been reaching out to me asking why you've been making a big deal out of it. So perhaps you've stirred more shit than you think. Yeah, I suppose something spread out farther than I think on occasion. Either way, I'm basically done talking about it. If I do anything else, it will be go through the article on a video, but not 100% sure. When I do that, I go through the whole thing. If I miss context, I'd surely grab it there. But that might end up dragging more attention. I'm not sure that's the most prudent approach. I'll think on it. And then I, point out, I'm not perfect either. Because, see, it would appear over here for him. That's why the arrow, I'm clever like that. I understand that, but dude, seriously, think about who you would attract by doing an outrage piece. Do you want to have the quarterings following? Ooh.
His fucking almost 2 million subs? Yeah, probably a few of them at least.
He was calling out the quartering on December 19th. December 19th. The quarterings following? Why bother? It's kink. It's the past. It's consensual. It's weird, but who cares? You were shocked because you've never, ever heard me talk about that. No, Jack, actually, that's not true. I was shocked because somebody unironically wrote an article positive about cucked, about being cucked. They're choosing it and then billing it as the alpha, as the apex, as the pinnacle of manhood sexuality is to have someone else have sex with your significant other. That's what was shocking. It had nothing to do with you. Could have been written by a Slate.com advice columnist. I would have had the same shock. That's the shock. The subject that you wrote about was the shock, not you. I don't know you. I never knew you. I don't know anything about you other than, again, one clip of you on Tim Pool's. All I know. Now I know you shove things in your ass for pleasure. I didn't want to know that, but I do now. Think about that. That's why it's so. Here's the other thing. Jack assumes that anybody talking to him is familiar with his work, like entirely.
Well, that's another interesting thing. This is a good point. Like, he just assumes everybody is familiar with his body of work in the most, no pun intended, in the more recent times, and that's not true. Most people are just learning about Jack Murphy because of this incident. Like, he has failed to like really kind of catch on. And he's on Tim Pool like every other fucking week, and he's not like blowing up in subs. He's got a pretty modest channel, like, about 49,000, 50,000 subs. I think a little less now. And it's never really blown up. You go look at his views on his videos, it's usually a few thousand. Sometimes under 1,000 as of late. That could be also YouTube. YouTube's fucking sucks. But you know what I mean. Trauma says, I'd like a private plane. Yeah. In reference to the quartering audience. Brissinger, he's alpha, okay? Trauma says, that butt plug is familiar with his body of work.
I mean, again, I don't know what you do. Think about that. That's why it was a jolt. It was deleted 5 years, bro. Deleted. You're just digging through my trash. That's the truth. It was shocking. Are you kink? I actually do delve into kink subjects on some late shows. Not that I will, but that's where it would have come up. Again, I'm not interested really in dragging it out. It was brought up on a panel show where I was a guest. I never went digging. See? So even your concern about me pushing this message is unfounded. It was deleted years ago. You did push the message years ago. Well, thanks for talking it out. Just remember, the people who are talking about it are people literally digging through my trash to find shit to humiliate me. It's not posted. It's not public. I never talk about it. I've long moved on. Word, I'll let you get back to your night. Thanks for chatting about it. I'm not hurting for subjects, so probably won't be hitting on it. Well, again, this is before that Tim Pool interview, isn't it? I'm asking you to delete and just forget it. It's also advice.
A tacit threat? Oh my goodness, Murphy.
Notice what I said. I'm done. I'll let you get back to your night. Hold up. Hold up. Just as I'm not familiar with Jack Murphy, I'm sure he's not very familiar with me. I don't respond the best to this type of approach. I'm a nice guy. You can tell, right? Through these, I'm nice. And I had no plans on releasing this, right? This is just me talking to the guy saying I'm done. Go ahead. You don't have to keep bitching at me. But I'm nice. I'm polite. I'm a polite motherfucker. I always have been.
And that's the reality of all of this. Even I can speak for myself. I never would have went back here. I had no intention of ever going back here. I found the Cuck article and all that kind of stuff that happened. It was funny. We covered it on Nightcap. We had a laugh. And that was kind of the end of it for me. Because I did, in some respect, feel bad for him a little bit. And I was even talking to my brother. I was like, maybe I'll cover it like at the end of the road, like when Jack like makes like a formal video or something like that. It might be interesting just to put a period on things to see how things kind of break out, right? But oh my God, it just every single day it just got crazier and weirder, and and he just exposes himself to be anything but the thing that he sells himself as.
But I don't respond well to threats or intimidation. Like that's you're not gonna get very far with me. So here we go. Whoop. I don't really delete tweets. Doing that would be very out of character for me and would draw more attention to it. I think that someone of your caliber and position wouldn't let things stand that you know to be untrue. Maybe I don't know them to be untrue yet, Jack.
Trami says, by the way, won't YouTube let you have super chats? Not yet. I think I need to have over 1,000 subs and so many hours streaming. And, for a long time, I wasn't really streaming on YouTube because I would constantly have to deal with my streams getting blocked and stuff. But so I went over to DLive to stream. And now I'm kind of like splitting the difference. Like, I try to keep Monday nights go over on DLive because we can kind of do whatever we want over there. I don't have to worry about streams getting blocked because of what I'm watching, etc. And I've just started to kind of come back and do live streams on YouTube. It's more treacherous on YouTube though, because especially with the things that we cover and the things that we talk about, the way I talk about things, it's like my channel would constantly be in jeopardy. Honestly, it's very easy to get hard copyright strikes. And when you're a channel my size, you're kind of just fucked. Ain't nobody coming to help me. So, someday we'll get there. Maybe we'll see.
maybe you should consider that I have not known them to be untrue at this point. As an example, if an alpha male giga chat He did. He said it. I didn't say it. He said it.
Tarami says, personally, I prefer D Live because it's more open, but what else? I agree. And I like to support alternative platforms and stuff. So that's why Monday nights, when I do it on Monday nights, I'll always do it over on D Live because I do like D Live. I do like D Live. It's just that a necessary evil sometimes. Got to go to YouTube. Just like everybody else that operates in any of these spheres that has a channel, YouTube is where the eyeballs are.
Oh my gosh. If an alpha male gigachad is advocating that the true path to masculinity is cuckoldry, then their advice is useless anyway. Oh wait, no. Sorry, that's my tweet. That's my tweet. I said it. Oh, damn it. That was me. I got to own that mistake. I got to own that one. It was not his words. He copy and pasted my tweet. That was me. I'm clearing that up. No, I sorry, I was laughing. I thought I got wrapped up in the moment. I forgot that was my tweet. That was my tweet. Here, but look at this. You know this to be factually untrue. No, that tweet, this tweet is 100% true. 1,000,000,000% true. If, is a conditional, an alpha male gigachad is advocating that the true path to masculinity is cuckoldry, then their advice is useless anyway. No, that's true. Regardless of if Jack Murphy is doing this, right? He might not be an alpha male gigachad. He might not be advocating the true path to masculinity. So those conditions might not be met. But in this state, that statement is true. I will stand by that statement forever. Either you have integrity or you don't. That's what I mean about being a rage merchant. Integrity, you say? Very interesting, Jack. Tell me more about it. And this. Locking replies is leadership and protection for one's followers. Does that mean he's going to start telling followers who to have sex with now to lead and protect them like he did for his girlfriend? This is all so weird. Yes. That's because he said he was locking his replies as leadership and protection for his followers, that he was leading and protecting his followers but that's what he said. I disagree with that. But what is he doing behind the lock, right? What's he telling him? But that's what he says in the article. That's the dominant move. That's the alpha move that he was telling his girlfriend who to have sex with. That's what made it not a problem, apparently, that he was in control. So said, but that statement of mine is my opinion. You said I misread the article. I have to go back through it, but you're also suggesting I drop it. Our versions of expressing integrity are different, which is fine. I leave my words up and correct my mistakes publicly when possible. For you, it appears deleting and moving on with new information is your preferred method. Not criticizing, just illustrating. If I act outside my character, though, it draws attention to what's missing. This isn't court, man. It's Twitter. It's the insinuation which matters. Look, man, you do what you want. But I'm telling you, it's a bad look for those mutuals we have in common. Mutuals would necessarily be people we have in common. Yes, thank you. That know the score. And now you know what's up too. So if I leave it up, if you leave it up, you're being dishonest and shitty. Your choice. Was I, though? Who was dishonest and shitty here, Jack? I don't advocate for it. I never did. The fucking article was deleted 5 years ago. So you did just 5 years ago. Not never. That action speaks for itself. You asked me on your show because I do good work. That's valuable work. Now you're damaging that. All your choices. But now you know. You could be a good guy here. You could be like the other rage merchants, like the Quartering and the other losers on YouTube. And with that, I'm done. Appreciate the advice. One thing, though, I'm not amenable in general to the you look bad to mutual argument. That's another aspect of my perception of integrity. When I agreed with you on a nuanced approach to vaccines based on practical parenting, I didn't concern myself with alienating Tim Pool or even many members of my own audience. My opinion is not formed based on how allies will take it. Again, open to correction. If you call it being shitty, then you aren't listening to me say that I will literally attract more attention by deleting it. If you let things stand, you know that aren't true. That says it all. Have a good night, sir. Adios. Good night. Here we go. Jack finally says, all of this has incited a mob against my wife. I'm asking you to please let it go. So there it goes. Look, man.
And he did that. He sent that message while he was streaming.
Dude.
I think we're looking at right here is really we're looking at the alpha Chad, at least in this situation. The true alpha Chad has a kitty cat drawing in his corner, and he paints Warhammer 40,000 miniatures.
Okay. Wow. Yes, that was 2 minutes ago. That was 2 minutes ago. He's going through all the stages of internet self-immolation. I really wish he would not have sent that while I was going through his tweet, through the messages, because if that came up even a minute later, I wouldn't have seen it, and we would have just moved on. But that's the internet. That's the way it goes. I actually didn't know that would happen. So, oh God. No, here's the thing. It's all the signs of self-immolation. Now it's you've incited a mob against. So I didn't incite shit, man. I didn't incite shit.
The pregnant pauses.
You got to own. You've got to own your past. You have to own it. I said it back then. Space Jason? No. This is gross. Leave the man be. No, fuck off. Fuck off. Don't tell me what to do. 2, no. Nope. Here's the problem. We've got a string of misrepresentations coming from one party. Who's doing that? No one's doing that to anybody.
And he's dead right. He's dead fucking right. Even in that exchange he had with Jack Murphy, lots of misinformation, lots of obscuring the truth, obscuring the situation for no reason. Nothing to gain from that. You don't even have to get into it with somebody. Say if you wanted to just send a message and be like, yo, could you stop? It's really fucking up my personal life, whatever. I can understand a person doing that. But then to get into the details and then lie about the details is fucking stupid.
Nobody did that to him. He did that to himself. People are going to bring up your past. You have to address the true things. Your name's on the article. How are you not going to address your name on the article? Like, again, there's a distinction here between, like, let's say, think about this. Like, legitimately think about this. 3 weeks ago, some guy comes up and says, hey, Jack Murphy was doing amateur pornography on Chatterbait. Does anybody on earth, like, I should say anybody, does the majority of people, do they believe that? That's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. But then they post the receipts and they're like, whoa. But let's say something else rather than something that happened. Let's say someone says 3 weeks ago, Jack Murphy shoots dogs behind the Arby's near his house, right? That he just grabs dogs and goes and shoots them. Nobody believes that. He doesn't have to address that. That's a crazy random person from the internet. But when someone comes up and says, hey, you wrote this article about cuckoldry, and you did, what do? You address it. You have to. That's your words. And then when it comes up, you can't just equivocate. You can't just do the dodge and then scream at someone on the dodge, and then go on Tim Pool and then misrepresent the interaction. At least according to Sydney. Maybe Sydney's lying, right? But Sydney Watson put out that video. What was that? Was that today? Let me take a look.
And that's about the end of that because he goes and watches the video, which we already watched. There's only one other thing I'm going to cover tonight relative to Jack Murphy. We got one more thing. If I can find it. And this is going to have to be audio only. It's going to have to be audio only because I cannot show this on stream or YouTube, and I'm going to have to watch it. Oh, my goodness. All right. Let's make sure we can hear it.
Yes, we've had other guys join us.
We've had other girls, other guys.
3 and 4 girls.
Oh, thanks, Stefan. You guys are the best.
Harley, that you can suck start for him. Oh, I want such this cock too. Oh.
So you guys can't see this, but this is Jack Murphy laying on a bed with his girlfriend sucking his dick while he's answering chat. Prophet says, what's Caleb Maupin's take on this? Oh, I'm sure it has something to do with communism. It's the capitalists.
Yeah, we love other couples.
It's the capitalists that don't want you to cuck. Why don't they want you to cuck? Why would they do that? I'll tell you why. They don't want you to actually be happy. Because cuckoldry is instrumental to the lifestyle of the working man.
Couples are fun too.
Yep. Mm. Oh. 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 Nice.
Listen to those sick rap beats.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for everything. 25 tokens for a request.
69 for 69, guys.
So Chatterbait is the site where you go on and you live stream yourself doing things, and people bid money for requests. I found out, I think like a token is worth like a nickel. I think somebody did the math. So when they're asking for 25 tokens for a request, they're talking about $2.50. 69 tokens, a little bit more. Okay, for 69, exactly, Brissinger. 69 for 69.
69 for 69.
Yes, I have definitely fucked guys before. Oh. I'm hetero flexible. I should put that in the bio.
You should, yeah. Everyone asks.
Everyone asks.
Yeah.
All the guys want to know.
We love our guy fans. I especially love Daddy's fans.
69 for 69, guys. Oh. Oh.
Oh my God.
Oh.
It's so weird because you're watching people like, she's sucking his dick, he's laying on the bed, and they're both just staring at a computer screen, just looking at that chat, begging for tokens. Brissinger says Jack Murphy Alpha Cuckoo.
I'm a total top, James.
He's a top, and he's a top. I guess, okay. Oh my God. I don't know if I can do this. I have to fucking watch these goddamn things. Tarami says, how romantic. The thing about it is, like, when you watch, it's like, it's very, like, it's just very normie stuff.
We'll see. Oh, thank you for the tip for the rim. That's my favorite. Oh.
So somebody gave them $2.50 so he could get a rim job.
Ooh.
Now he is.
Oh.
He's on his back, legs sprayed like this, spread open, with his butthole showing, and she's getting ready. She's getting prepared. He's jerking off as hard as he can, which, for an alpha male, I don't know. He's working with what he's working with. Travi says, this is so embarrassing, I'm not even seeing the video. Yeah, it's actually hard to watch. I don't particularly enjoy watching this. I have not actually watched these. Like, I saw that, like, somebody put these clips together and put the captions about what would be in each video. And yeah. Singer says, I mean, Zoobox, you'd never do this? How old is this? This is 2 years old. Probably a little less than 2 years old. Would I ever do this? No, I wouldn't. No, I would not. Now she's positioning herself on the floor. He's on the couch. She's getting ready. He's holding his legs up.
Ooh.
She's rubbing his thighs.
You guys want to watch me lick this asshole? You guys are dirty.
They paid for it.
I like it.
They tipped for it. Let's do it.
Fun.
Do it.
They fucking paid for a bitch. Lick that asshole. Tarami says, where are these available? I did some searches, but my prawn foo is weak, apparently. Okay. Brissinger says, not very conducive to followers. Yeah, I don't care about followers. Go to a website called Kiwi Farms and look up Jack Murphy / John Murphy. And there is a mega thread of everything he's ever done.
Yes, big. Yes, big.
Can we go up a little more? Or no, I just meant like, yeah, there we go.
There we go. Now I can get to your asshole.
Oh. 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 That's it. Eat that ass. Eat that ass.
And there you go. And that's oh my God. Oh my God. Brissinger says, does he take a shit on her chest? Not that I've seen. Not so far. Because the thing is, like, so they do these Chatterbait things. Somebody like captured these and re-uploaded them to the Chatterbait site, I think. And I have to assume maybe it's them, but other people took the clips and put them on other places, like other porn websites. That's how people at Kiwi Farms, which is just full of autistic people that just know how to internet. They will fucking find it. If it's out there, they will find it. And it's something. It's something.
Thank you. All right, I get to rim daddy now.
Oh, he gets like very aggressive about having his asshole licked.
And I've got
Come on.
a wild redhead. It's true.
Get at it.
Get at it, he says. He said, get at it.
Let me see your tongue out there.
You stay still. You stay still.
He's like totally just bent over, his ass in her face.
I got it. Can you lift it up one? There we go.
Oh, yes. Oh. Oh.
Like normally these things are, these are intimate moments, people in the privacy of their own home. But they did this for like a couple bucks on the internet. I mean, desperate times, I suppose, right? This economy. But Jesus Christ. It's like, is this before OnlyFans was a big thing? Is 2019, was that like not an OnlyFans thing? Bruce Singer says alpha. Oh my God.
Oh. Oh, God.
No.
Oh.
And it just kind of goes on like that forever. Oh, I gotta close that. I gotta close it. All right. Well, I think that's a stream, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out. Trami says OnlyFans was definitely a thing in 2019. Yeah, I thought it was too. Like I would imagine. Like Chatterbait is like it's like a very niche thing. Like you got to be a real degenerate, for lack of a better way to put it. No judgment, but you gotta be a real perv to want to be on Chatterbaits. Prophet says fucking worst ASMR I've ever seen with his ears. All right, everybody. Yeah, that's definitely going to do it for tonight. I would recommend, though, actually, I'll drop it in the chat. I would recommend if you guys are into more Jack Murphy stuff and you want to hear like oh,
absolutely.
You want to hear like a good probably a good discussion and takedown of this material, I would suggest heading over to Ricada Law. He's got the bull, Drexel. Drexel is his giant black friend who used to be a bull for cuckolds. I would suggest checking it out. Go over there. It's a fun time. I like Nick Ricada a lot, so I would definitely go over there. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. Tarami. Tarami says, I'm definitely into more jacking it to Murphy. Oh shit, that came out wrong. But Tarami, Brissinger, Prophet, Hagbird, Maverick, everybody that's been hanging out straight up. I think you're new. And Nightmare, I saw in the chat as well. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll be back again real soon. I'm not sure. I might be back tomorrow night. I don't know what our New Year's Eve plans are. My wife's like 3 months pregnant. My son is sick. So we're just staying in. But so I might be around. I might kick it around on DLive, maybe watch a movie or something. Might be fun. But we'll see you guys next time. Adios.
Not going to talk about this. And basically, you know what? Fuck you for bringing this up right here and right now. Why are you doing this to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah. Fuck you.